I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello and welcome to AfterBuzz TV, home of the official after show for the Netflix original series, Sweet Magnolias. So if you haven't already checked it out, I need you to go watch the pre-show and episodes 1 through 10 because we had cast and crew spilling the beans on everything behind the scenes, and you can't get that anywhere else. And today, it is the reunion. We have Harlan, Noreen, and the Townsends in here today. How is everyone doing? And happy #1 on Netflix.
Yay!
Woo, woo! I know that has got to feel amazing. We are so proud of you. I'm your host, Jamie Alexander, and as always, I'm joined by my incredible panel of hosts, Tammy, Kelsey, and Bryant. And we are all here to just enjoy and get this reunion going. So we've got some questions for you guys, and hopefully we are answering all the questions that you fans want to hear. So, Frank, we're starting with you because we haven't talked to you yet. But I was going to tell you, good afternoon, and I do mean good. Now, I was watching some of your tweets, and the fans are really loving Harlan. So, one, how does it feel to be a fan favorite, and will this change how you perform the character next season?
Well, I didn't even know I was a fan favorite like that till just now. So, nah, I don't think it'll change anything because I mean, Harlan, he's just a really grounded character, so I don't think it's going to change much. If anything, probably more vulnerability, but we'll just have to see.
I love that you said vulnerability because in the tweet there was a woman who appreciated the quote unquote softer side. And sometimes when talking about men and relationships, you hear soft and your mind starts to go somewhere else. So I love that you said vulnerable because you and Cal and Trotter and Cal really had an amazing relationship. And I think that's why people want to see more of Harlan.
Yeah, I agree. Because like in life right now, I'm kind of learning how to be more vulnerable with my friendships with guys. So it's like real time for me. So yeah.
That is absolutely amazing. We love hearing that. Tammy, you've got some feedback.
Yeah, we got a lot of feedback. Frank, welcome again. Great to have you. So Twitter, Instagram and Twitter, but Twitter in particular has been blowing up, especially about the season finale. So let me just read something. This is from Joy Halder at Titanic Movies saying, terrific season, mean cliffhanger, LOL. We must get that renewal. So I guess the question is to everyone, for those who are actually in the season finale and for those that weren't in it, what was your reaction when you first read the script? And then what was your reaction when you saw the show and you saw the season finale?
I love that.
I immediatally looked to Cheryl and said, who's in that car? We all did. And she said, I'm not telling. I was actually just talking to Cheryl about that. I was like, I'm getting so many text messages from people like, no, my mother-in-law's hysterical. My friends are like, no, what? But I thought it looked really good. And it definitely set up, I think, it's like we're coming in with a bang for season 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
what did you think about it?
So shocked. I was so shocked about it. I mean, they sent me the last scripts, even though I wasn't. Well, I guess everybody should have seen the show by now. If they haven't, sorry. I wasn't in the last 2 episodes, but I was sent the scripts. So I'm not reading it. I don't want to know. I want to just watch them. I want to be surprised. So I watched the last 2 episodes completely blind, and I was just sitting there like with everyone else, like, no, this can't. And I knew there was some type of incident like that at the end, but still, this is like, this weekend's our first weekend kind of social distancing safely, but being around people somewhat. Mm-hmm. And that's all they're asking me from 6 feet away is, what is going on? Who's in the car? Who is in the car? And I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea who else is in the car. I mean, I have my guesses, but I don't know. I'm just as curious as everyone else.
On set, yeah, where we constantly go up to Cheryl and especially all the kids and just go up to her and go, come on, tell us who's in this car. And
come on, Cheryl.
Carson, do you think you're in the car?
I honestly don't know. I don't know. According to the books in book 5, but Ty is, in his 20s by then. late 20s. He does get into a car crash and he breaks his arm. And
Yeah.
and goes back to hell. So that's not a spoiler. That's just in the books. So I think that would be a cool thing to do. But honestly, it didn't really stick much to the books in season 1. So they might throw something from left field, no pun intended. And like, I don't know. I honestly have no idea.
Yeah. I don't either. I feel like it would be very evil if they put 2 of my children in that
That's what
closet.
I was thinking. That's not fair. That's life, honestly.
I know all my friends think it's Nelly.
Okay.
Which is an interesting. I mean, I heard. I mean, from several people. They're like, "Oh, it's Nelly. I know it's Nelly," and that never crossed.
Really?
But
I kind of thought
I thought so
her,
too.
That way, Mary
Brian
Vaughn
did,
and you
yeah.
would have to be friends again, Joe.
So Brian said. We were
I
talking
was
to
telling
Joe the other
it's
day.
like, Mary Vaughn, not our biggest fan, but
But like, everyone gets a chance to redeem themselves on this show, or at least tell their side of the story. So I wouldn't be surprised about that either.
What did you think, Chris, when you read the last script for the season finale?
I thought it was a lot of fun. I actually, out of all the pictures that I took of being on the sets and things during season 1, I have the most pictures of the time that we shot those scenes, because coming up to it, the set designers just did such a phenomenal job of setting that stage. And at night, like show sets are always awesome, but at night they have a certain magic to them. And so this one, you came up to it and you saw the flashing lights and stuff, and you're like, oh my God, what happened? Oh no, wait, that's our set. And then I do remember when the last couple scripts came out and we all read it, it was a huge bit of conversation. Actually, Carson and I spent a lot of time on set pondering who was in that car and thinking about it. It was a fun thing for us, and clearly that transcended to the audience, and it's been a fun thing for them on social media.
I feel like Carson knew everything before everyone else. He had like the inside scoop.
What?
Yeah, I do. Like every time I do the baseball scene, being Noreen annoying you, we would have some time together, and I feel like you always knew what was going to happen before it happened. Like the scripts, like you had somebody on the inside.
I did have to spend a lot of time with Cheryl and Norman, but honestly, those 2 are a sealed book. They will not.
It's crazy.
Slide, and it's admirable. Really, it really is, because I would someone by now. I can't keep a secret that long.
Yeah, we need to know.
Well,
come on.
It sounds like from the looks of things, the whole world is eager for season 2. So it looks like we're going to find out. If anybody's paying attention, they'll go ahead and order that up. Kelsey, I know you had some, a little question for Carson.
Yes, I did. Carson, I got on Instagram this morning and saw that you were helping our girl Anneliese, grow her following. I actually started laughing, and then I looked, and now she's at 11,000 followers.
Yes,
I know. So A, did she know you were doing that? And B, who else are you helping grow their Instagram following?
Okay, so I'll answer the latter first. Logan is definitely for sure. Logan's next.
Yes,
I told him.
Amazing.
But I have a group chat with the kids. So me, Logan, and Anna, and it's called the Teen Mags. And so we were texting this morning, number 1, and we were out. And Anna texts. She's like, "Oh, I'm so close to 10,000 followers," and I go, "Wait a second." So I write this like funny thing. I find
cute.
And it worked. I mean, in like an hour and a half, she gained like 1,500 followers and put her up.
Seriously,
which is so cool, and I just love that, because I think our friendship transcends to social media as well. I love just messing around and giving like people who follow me just an authentic version of myself, and I think that's like how people are eating that up. I just love it. It's so fun.
I know, it was great. I mean, because after we talked to her, she had something like 2,000 maybe, and that was a couple days ago. It's wild. Fans are loving you guys.
So cool.
I love that. That is so nice. The teen mags supporting each other.
How do we get in that group text?
One of you guys grows, all of you are growing.
I would love to know.
Brian, I'll toss it to you because we're not through with you, Carson.
So I was gonna ask, obviously, I feel like you and Anna have an amazing relationship. I was gonna ask, if there's something more there, but I don't want to put you on the spot. So what I will ask you is,
I am so here for you, Brian.
Yes. Tell us.
Are you? Oh, you can answer that if you want, for sure. But, so, are you team Ty and Annie or Ty and CeCe?
Okay, so the first question, I will answer that question. Anna and I are great friends, and that she's a lot younger than me. I'm 22. She was 17 more ago. She's 18 now, but she's a little bit younger than me. But she's an amazing person, and we're amazing friends. So I'll keep it at that. I'm totally team Ty and CeCe. Oh, sorry, Ty and Annie. I didn't say that.
I was like,
we're like, what?
Sorry. Because I think it's like a modern day Jim and Pam kind of situation. Like
Yes.
is like, I want them together, but they're not together, and they have issues. But I still want them to be together. But yeah, huge Ty and Annie fan.
Yes,
Love that.
love it. I'm the biggest one here, so.
Yeah, you are. You are.
I love that. Well, I was going to ask you, seeing as again how the whole world is looking for a season 2, Carson, as you playing a young man in this, obviously time is going to go by the time we get there. So as a young man in Serenity, what character body type are you aiming for? Are you a Ryan Gosling or are you a Brandon Quinn?
Body type.
Both ain't bad.
I mean,
both ain't bad.
I think I'm a Justin Bruning. Like that's what I'm like.
Oh,
Hey.
Good answer.
Fine. Like that's what I'm trying to look like when I'm 40. Are you kidding me?
Hey. Go Bruning. Go Bruning. Bruning gets you on the cover. Bruning gets you on the cover of the show.
Yeah, but you can't eat like all the meals. Like you and Chris, I mean, another one of the biggest heartthrobs of all time, on this currently. I'm like, you've got a lot of men to look up to, Carson.
I do. I've been blessed to work with some amazingly talented, both men and women in the show.
Yeah, Frank, who was your favorite guy to work with on the show?
I would probably have to say Cal. Because working with Justin, he was just really kind. And then, like, right off the bat, I've never met him, but I felt like I've known him my whole entire life. Like, speaking about, like, body types, we would be, like, at craft services or something in between sets and at the back of packaging. It's like, oh, yeah, okay, I eat this and that works. Like, yeah, Justin is, because he's really dope. I really like working with Justin. I like working with everybody, but Justin, we got really close. So
Frank, if you have a lot more scenes with me next year, we'll eat Doritos together and Cheetos. And any good offered.
If it's spicy nacho, I got
Crafty.
Yes.
Did you guys have margaritas in Crafty, or was that just for the pour it out scenes?
Bummer. I'll work on that for season 2.
After we
Did they ever let you have real margaritas in the pour it out scenes? That's what I need to know.
No, we didn't. But there might have been a little tequila happening when I had to like have a love scene with Cal. I was as nervous for that as Maddie was.
I love that.
Say, that's something that I did not expect was how steamy this show of ours is.
Mm-hmm.
I read those scripts and I was like, oh, okay, that's it. When I saw it, I'm like, woo,
yeah,
this is a steamy show.
Tammy, I'm going to go ahead and toss it to you. I know you had something to throw in there for Chris.
Yes. So speaking of steamy. This is going back to the finale. I mean, your character had a lot to work through this first season, and you actually won some people over by the end. yeah. So how do you feel about this arc this roller coaster that you've been on?
Tammy, did I get you? Did I get you at the end? Because I know we talked in episode 5, and you were not having me at all. You were not having me at all.
You know what got me was the scene with Bill and Katie at the park.
That was a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorites of the entire show.
Chris, Tammy's exact words though were, "I have no patience for Bill."
Yep, those were her exact words.
Yeah, there was. That's exactly what she told us when we did this for episode 5. No, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun watching people, go back and forth with Bill, which was our whole thing. That was Cheryl's aim for this character the whole time, was to really challenge people's perspectives of an archetype like this, and really that only works because of Jamie Lynn, Carson, and JoAnna. And the other kids. It works because of what they do, how they react to Bill, who they are as people. It only works if they walk that fine line with me. And my hats are off to my scene partners. They smashed it, helping us walk that tightrope.
Oh, that's so nice.
That's so nice. Yeah, it was hard. I was telling them in my last interview, it was like Chris was playing his character well, that I was like, I like Chris, but like it's hard to like Bill in some of these scenes. So it was like it was it brings in some of that real life, like how you feel about somebody, especially, I don't know, I guess growing up around Southern men, I've been through a few of those. So it was kind of like, I mean, not that many, but I mean, I guess it really hit home for me, but it like made, I think he played it very well, where it's like, they're good guys, but they're bad guys, but they're good guys. And you're just kind of always questioning yourself. And I really felt like you portrayed it really well.
I mean, I think it's a testament to be able to have that, to be able to win people over on any level. And I talked to Chris about this throughout the whole thing. I remember like one time we were in a van together and I was like, he will come the farthest in this. And that is like, to me as an actor, I'm like, that's such a great gift. Like, to, be able to play a role that, and it's also Jamie Lynn. I said this to Jamie Lynn too, like that character could have been on paper just so even and flat and just what it like just served a purpose and was what it was. But like you see the whole journey of them, their relationship, like, all of it. It just, to me, it was one of the most interesting dynamics of our show, because it's real and stuff like that happens. And sometimes you have this awakening or these realizations that come a little bit too late. And, you make mistakes when you're young or all of those different things. And it just, to me, is like, that is what I believe it grounds the show, and it makes it so realistic and so special and so much more, it's so much different than like the obvious sort of journey of those characters or just who they are. And so I don't know, it's just, to me, it just says so much about these actors that are able to play that and have even an opportunity to say, like, you've won me over.
Well said, JoAnna. I completely agree.
Thank
And
you,
I love how you talked about, in the van. So since we have Jamie Lynn and Chris here, was there any off-screen preparation or anything that you guys needed to do to get ready to kind of intensify the heat or the tension or whatever was needed in the scenes that you guys were doing together?
I think I met you at the table read, right? I met everyone at the table read. But I think that just kind of, I don't know, I did a little bit of, I came in early ahead of time and I met with Norman and Cheryl, and that was really good for me because they really gave me like a heads up of what they were expecting from the character. And then that made my job a lot easier. So when I went into it with Chris, I was able to kind of stay there the whole time because I knew exactly what they were expecting, and then also putting, what I felt was important in there as well. So I think without that time with Norman and Cheryl ahead of time, I might have made some different choices and it might have been different, but I was able to have that time with them. So when I met Chris, it was like, I knew where my character's headspace was at. So I was able to play back and forth with him once I knew my character.
She did. She knew who Noreen was. There was no hemming or hawing with Jamie Lynn. She was on point the whole time. and I agree. Cheryl and Norman did such a good job in their preparation of all of us, myself included. I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time chatting with them, and then I think I mentioned this last time I was on AfterBuzz with you guys. You put on, at least for me, I put on the accent and then go see the world. Well, with Bill and Noreen, as soon as Jamie Lynn came in full wardrobe with that baby bump that they put her in, that was it. I was in the world. Like you couldn't deny that awesome prop that she was using and knew how to use, because she'd gone through that herself personally. So she knew exactly how to walk, how to be, all those things,
What do you say?
Hey, I've got 2 kids. I know what it is. I get
The mom walk.
But anyway, it was just that part of it, made it very real.
Yeah, and I think that for me, it's like if we'd have maybe met Bill and Noreen before the baby bump, I think that would have looked different. But I know it seems weird, but even when I was wearing the bump, this whole almost more motherly, protective mama bear persona kind of came over me with her character. I think that was an important part. She wasn't just this young girl who just loves this guy. It was like she kind of took on a different mama bear role. And I think that the belly, really, when I put it on, I really felt like that. That's how I felt. Like I was protecting my baby from anything that could hurt me and hurt my baby. So I think that really, as weird as it is, it was like my other scene partner.
Love that.
A much more eloquent way to say the walk. She was walking the walk and talking the talk.
I mean, I deserve something for the walk, right?
Yes, that was so good. And I love, we have Ty and his dad here. So Carson, how was it with you guys working together and also working with your mom, JoAnna? Tell us a little bit of behind the scenes about how you guys got along together.
Yeah, well, working with these two was just, incredible. I know working with Chris, we just laugh all the time and stuff like that. There was one time where we were making a joke or something and we were talking about wedding rings, and I raise up my right hand and say oh yeah, the wedding ring, and then obviously it goes on your left hand, and we just laughed about it for 30 minutes during that whole scene. It was so funny. But working with these two, they're just groomed, polished, professional actors, and it was incredible, because I know when I'm on set, I'm just trying to learn as much as possible and perform the best that I possibly can. And working with these people, they helped me do that. And I know whenever I work with them, I will perform better because I get to watch them act and learn from everything they're doing, because these guys are amazing.
Oh, love you.
Wow.
I love it. Well, Kelsey, you had a question for Bill. Do you want to throw
yes,
that out?
I did. Yes, I did, Chris.
Bill's a popular figure on this show. I don't know if I like it.
Honestly, you won Bryant and I over so fast. We were telling JoAnna the other day, we're like, yeah, we're Team Bill now.
I was like, I think I just have bad taste in men. I don't know, but
kind of Sim. No, you were great. That last episode, phenomenal. I want to know if you have received any love or hate fan mail about Bill, or any DMs or anything from anyone.
No, it's no hate.
Good.
No hate, but plenty of people saying, the character's not their favorite character. But no hate. One amazing thing, this last week has been so fun, because to be part of an ensemble on a show that is resonating is just such a special thing, and not only resonating, but the fans are so very kind to us and to this show. It's been really something, and they've all they're just all really kind, and if I've moved them to hate Bill, they appreciate it. They're not saying you're a tool. They're saying wow, your character is a really terrible human being.
You're great. He's not.
Yeah.
But I
Frank is-
love that. Because I was
Frank-
just gonna say, like, it's a kind show. You know, it's like there's so many good messages and so many amazing takeaways that it does pull that audience as well. So that's awesome.
Frank, is there anybody here that's pictured that you want to have some more time with in season 2?
I don't know. That's tough. It would probably be a tie between.
Oh wait,
what I did there. It'd be a tie between Carson and Chris, because we had some good moments. I loved, I think it was episode 4, Chris, where I remember that day on set. I was like, okay, what can I like say to him to kind of like get him to want to get Noreen to leave? And I forgot what I said, but whatever I said, you just came to me and was like, hey man, he's putting the fire under my butt. I like this. Like,
yeah, you came with the improv that surprised me, Frank. I wish I could remember what you said, and that was pretty good stuff.
I feel like it was something like, if you want, that's what it was. If you want scouts to take him seriously, y'all got to go now. And then,
oh, that's what you whispered. That's it.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
I think that moment that he's talking about, out of all the me as a human being, I read some of the stuff that Bill does in this and kind of went, oh my goodness, this is cringeworthy stuff. But the one thing that was really gnarly was when Bill tells Noreen to leave the stands.
Oh God, that was cringeworthy for me too. Just like Noreen's whole interaction at the baseball field, she needs a little bit of etiquette there.
Yeah. And I will say, more than hate mail about Bill, I've been seeing a whole lot of Noreen at the ball game stuff. I feel a lot of people feel the same way about Bill asking her to leave. Not very cool.
Not wearing her homemade t-shirts.
Honestly, like we've got to get that merch out right now. Like, why are we not selling those t-shirts?
Jamie, put link in your bio, girl.
Kidding.
Exactly.
That is such a great point. We'd love to see some Serenity swag. Let's get that going. I know. So before we actually have two more questions. Tammy, I'm going to throw it to you because you had something you wanted to share with JoAnna, and then we have another question for you guys.
So Anneliese was sharing, she's been getting DMs, from family. They're crying and they just can't believe how amazing this experience has been. Have you received any DMs or any messages on social about, that have moved you and kind of brought you to tears?
Yeah, I actually just received one today. And it was a woman that experienced almost exactly what Maddie's experienced in the past year. And she was like, this has been, coming off of that year and then going into quarantine with her family and rebuilding her life. She was like, it was like so cathartic to see. And she just was like, I don't feel as alone anymore. And I was like, oh God, that's so beautiful. And I just, just having, a show that is bringing people some joy and comfort and especially in this time, I've talked about this, in all the times that we've all sat down together to do these episodes, it just feels really, I'm so overjoyed. And I'm honestly, I found myself today, my husband was like, Jo, number one, I mean, we woke up to all those messages from my team of people that had sent over and like during the night. And because I'm 3 hours ahead of everyone in LA. And and he's like, are you alive? Like, you're not like wigging out right now. And I was like, I almost am like, I'm so cautious. Like, I can't even believe it's real. I'm like, it just is so surreal and I'm not surprised that, I think we all feel so strongly about this show and we all have so much love for each other. And I think it's very clear. And all of us were so deeply connected to our characters and all of the different dynamics, but to see this like catch on like this is, I mean, look, take it from the old dogs, me and.
Oh no!
Let's drop some wisdom.
Oh my gosh! Well, it was just like snap. Well,
wait, did she just disappear?
She literally fell
She was
off.
about to go in too. Well,
she's like, take it from me and
we
Chris.
are short on time, so what we're gonna do is Until Joe comes back to finish her sentence, let's go. Frank, Chris, Carson, and then Jamie Lynn, can you guys please share your social media so we can follow you? And just a little message to the fans that are watching. Let's start with you, Frank.
Yeah, so on Instagram, I'm Frank Oakley III. It's all spelled out. The third is spelled out as well. Twitter, it's Frank Oakley, and the E in Oakley is 3. And everywhere else, it's just Frank Oakley. And one message I would say is just thank you guys, man, for real. Like, thank y'all for the love and support. And yeah, just keep it coming. Keep it coming.
All right, Chris, you're up.
I'm at I am Chris Klein on both Instagram and Twitter. And yeah, again, what Frank said, just thank you everybody for watching and responding, and thank you to my fellow castmates. It's a pleasure and an honor to share some time with you, and I really hope that we all get to do it again down the line here real soon.
Yes, Carson
coming in.
He's back.
Oh, she's doing it. Oh, we are so sorry.
Surprise, effing surprise. Did you guys hear that lightning? That was so crazy. The lightning was nuts. I literally almost, like, my dogs jumped like a foot in the air. Hold on, I'm coming. I got to get a better, I'm sure all of you guys were laughing and sharing. How?
You talk about a cliffhanger, JoAnna. Right at the cliffhanger there. You're going to drop some knowledge.
You
Do
were.
think by season 2, I'm going to have this shit figured out? But I what I was saying is about the old dogs. And I think, Chris and I, we are we've been around a long time. This is the second show that Chris and I have done together. Over 10 years ago, we had another show together. But this doesn't come around very often, and so I'm savoring every minute of it, and the gratitude that I have is so, like, unbelievable. I can't even, we are so blessed to have careers and doing what we do and opportunities, but to have opportunities that actually, like, make that resonate on this level is just so humbling, and I'm just, like, beside myself. So I might get struck by lightning tonight.
No. Well, we don't want that to happen. So while you were gone, what I had everyone do is kind of share their social media handle and just give a message to the fans. So before lightning strikes, if you want to go ahead and do that, that'd be amazing.
My Instagram is Jo Garcia Swisher, and my Twitter is JoAnna Lynn Garcia. And my message to the fans is, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My heart is with you and needing to know who was in that car. I'm not going to tell you until season 2, but I'm with you, and I'm just so grateful. And I hope we get to do a lot more of this.
Thank you. What about you, Carson?
So just at Carson Rowland on Instagram and Twitter. And the thing I would like to say is just, like, kind of reiterating what everyone else has said. Just this is incredible. I mean, thank you guys so much. Like, it's so surreal to be able to contribute to people's lives in this way. I can't imagine how, like, I've just been blessed to bless other people, and I love that, and it's so humbling, like Joe said, and it's just surreal in every sense of the word.
That's beautiful. And last but not least, Noreen, aka Jamie Lynn, where can we find you?
Everything for me is Jamie Lynn Spears, just on everything, even TikTok.
Yes, TikTok.
Yes.
Anyways, no, I think that I've grown up in this business. I've seen it work. I've seen it fail. I had the chance to do this, and then also, took some time away from it where there was things that didn't work. And I agree with what Joe said. Being on a show that, connects to people and you connect to is a very rare thing in this business. And so I'm just so thankful to be a part of it. I'm so thankful that, I get to be in the car doing an interview at my daughter's softball game, talking about something I love to do. I just think that that's the best gig in the world. So I'm just so thankful to be a part of it, and that, hopefully we get to continue to tell these stories. And my biggest thing is just thank you, God, thank you, fans. That's all I can say.
Yes.
Amen.
Oh, thank you guys so much for sharing. Gosh, that was incredible and so insightful. It was amazing to hear Frank and Chris Klein and even Jamie Lynn chime in. You're not going to want to miss who's next. We have Carolyn Lagerfelt, Hunter Burke, Allison Gabriel, and Norman Buckley. How's everybody feeling, you number one top spot people?
Pretty excited about that.
I love it.
It's incredible.
It's something that I don't think any of us were expecting. We thought the show would have a slow build and that people would find it, but I don't think that we expected that it would come out of the gate as strong as it has. So it's been very thrilling for all of us.
Yeah, we really love you.
Yeah.
Yes, Allison. Yeah.
I'm beside myself. I can't believe it. We've been watching it every morning. My husband and I wake up and we first thing check Netflix to see where we're at once we hit the 10. And this morning I was like, ah!
I love that so much. And you know what, fans? That is a testament to you because that means you tuned in. So thank you for you. We're so glad to have you here. Now, Norman and Allison, I know you guys have shared a little bit how you feel about being number one. Hunter, aka Trotter, how are you feeling about all of this success?
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, you couldn't ask for more. It's, you make something in hopes that people will connect with it and see it. And it's nothing better than waking up, like Allison said, and seeing it's number one. I mean, that's verifying that all the hard work is paying off. So it's great.
I love that. Carolyn, how are you feeling this morning?
Well, I'm absolutely thrilled. I saw JoAnna's Instagram post first that it had hit number one, and I was just ecstatic. And I have to be honest with y'all, I am only seeing an episode per day. So I just saw the 5th episode.
Okay.
Because my son has been in his finals in law school and he didn't want me to see it without him.
Oh.
And so, yeah, I know he's so sweet. I mean, he's like 29 and he wants to sit next to me and watch it. So we just saw that. And Norman, oh my God, what an episode.
Yeah.
I mean, you directed number 5 and I love number 4. I love number 3. I love number 2. I love number 1. And tomorrow it's number 6.
Yay.
Yeah, I think episode number 5 is a really special one. I really like that episode a lot.
It's wonderful. And all the stuff we went through filming it with the sprinklers going off and that baseball game across the field.
Yeah. Those 2 parties, the 2 parties in episode 5 were all-nighters. So we were shooting all night on those and everybody was very tired, but it felt like a party. It felt like a party while we were shooting.
It felt like a party to us too. So kudos to you guys for working in the middle of the night and with so many distractions, but you still pulled through. And episode 5, actually at one point in consensus was our favorite. So great work.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Great. I'm glad.
Yes. Yeah. Now, Kelsey, I know you have a question up your sleeve. Allison, are you ready?
I do. Allison, we need to know. I mean, Mary Vaughn, she's kind of, I don't want to say go as far as villain, but not a huge fan of Mary Vaughn. How did it feel playing someone like that? And did you pull from anything, like any past experience or anything that worked well playing this character?
Yeah, when I auditioned for actually 2 parts, and Mary Vaughn was always had a special place in my heart. I always play nice people kind of caught up in a bad situation. And I wanted to play the woman who just didn't care what everyone thought of her, who wanted what she wanted and said it out loud. And I loved her from the first moment I read about her. And so playing her, I'm sorry. I just love it. I love playing someone so far from myself. I mean, not to make myself sound so special, but like I do not act like this. I'm always so concerned about what people think about me, and I'm always like not trying to be nice, but niceness is something that I'm very close. That's very close to me, and playing someone just out loud like that is so. Just to release. There's so much pent up judgment that I have. I actually haven't used anything other than my own judgy part of my brain. So yeah. And also,
how did you prep for her?
I think, well, I read the books and
Mm.
so I got a really good sense of who she is as a person and how she grew up according to the books. It's a little bit different in the show. And I really relate to her in a lot of ways, actually. In the books, she kind of grew up kind of on the outside of that. I don't want to call them a clique because it's really about their friendship, and I think it's beautifully done. But she is not in the in group; she's in the out group, and I know exactly what that feels. Not feeling like you're really seen and understood or heard, and then because of that, not really giving a crap what those girls think. You know what I mean? So yeah, I actually have a really soft spot in my heart for her.
I have a soft spot for Mary Vaughn too. I think that Mary Vaughn is a misunderstood character, and I want to give a little bit of background because we were casting in Atlanta, and I'd worked with Allison before in Atlanta on another show, and we had stayed in touch on social media. And I remember we were talking about various parts, and we read her for a different part. But I said to the casting director, I said, you know what? I said, like, have her read for Mary Vaughn too, because I think that she might be right for that. And her tape was just terrific. And it was kind of exciting because it was outside of the box of what I've seen you do, Allison. And I thought that she really brought the thing that I was looking for as a director and all of our casting was bringing a humanity to these parts and really bringing the unexpected version of these parts. It's very easy on a show like this to fall into the tropes and to fall into what you expect, as opposed to really thinking about people as real people. And I think that Allison really brought that quality to the part, and I'm delighted that we had this chance to work together. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just felt like I needed to tell that story.
No, we love it.
Love it, yes.
I was floundering a little too anyway, thank you.
I have a really quick one. I just wanted to ask both Norman and Allison. Anthony actually shared with us in our after show for, gosh, it was episode 7 or 8, where the baseball episode, basically he shared that the story of Mary Vaughn's backstory was actually cut from air. So I wanted to know, like,
that was never shot. That was cut
from like script.
It was cut early in the prepping process.
Got it. Okay.
The problem with a 7-day schedule, which is what we were on, is that you only have so many hours in the day to shoot the story. And so we had to make some decisions early on in our prep process to get some of these scripts down to a shootable length. And so that was a decision that was made weeks before we even shot that episode. It wasn't something that was shot and then left on the cutting room floor.
Got it. Okay,
maybe we'll get a little more Mary Vaughn in season 2.
Yes, that's what we need.
I hope so. There is a really interesting backstory, and I don't know how much the backstory is following the books or not, but Mary Vaughn is a character who comes to it where she is honestly, and I think that she's a person who, as I said, she's misunderstood. So
yeah. Well, Allison, you shared something, and you and Norman could probably speak to this, but you were going to read for a different role. What role was that, and how did the casting get moved around a little bit?
Well, it wasn't. I'll speak to that because it was. We were reading a lot of different people for different parts. No, she was reading for Charlotte in the second episode, the woman who was the sister of the couple who had the children that were being adopted. And it was just it was a smaller part, but I never really thought of Allison for that part. I wanted her to read for it just so that we had the opportunity to evaluate different people. But the woman Adina, who played Charlotte, was quite wonderful, and that she was always our pick for that part. And Allison, we really always had Allison in mind for Mary Vaughn from the time that we asked to see her.
Love that.
You love that.
And then as long as I'm talking about like people that I've we were also looking for somebody for Paula, and I worked on Gossip Girl, and Carolyn worked on Gossip Girl, though we never worked together on Gossip Girl, but we've become very close friends through Kelly Rutherford over the years, and I've spent a lot of time together. And so when we were looking for Paula, we read a lot of different people for Paula, And I said, I know who's right for this part. I know who's right. I said we should reach out to Carolyn Lagerfelt. So
did she have to audition, or you just throw her in?
Sweden. I was in Sweden when I got the phone call from Norman, and that made my summer. I'll tell you. I was on the next flight back.
It's something that I really enjoy. I enjoy working with people that I've worked with before, partly because there's a shorthand, and I know what I'm going to get. I know that I'm going to be able to walk onto the set and feel confident in the performance that's going to be delivered. I did not have that experience with Hunter. Hunter is one of the few people that I wasn't involved in the casting of. The director of the second block, Kelly Williams and Cheryl. They were auditioning the various parts for Trotter because I was shooting episodes 1 and 2, and so that Hunter, you're one of the few people on the show that I wasn't involved in the casting. But needless to say, I'm delighted. So.
From an actor's point of view, you said, I mean, it's great to work with wonderful new people, of course, like you did now. But from an actress's point of view, it's wonderful to work again with directors that you worked for before. And it's from our point of view, it's the same thing you talked about. It's the confidence. I'm so much more relaxed. I don't get like all the flutters and the panicky things. And also, the directors know where I tend to go that I shouldn't go, and they are able to nip that in the bud before it goes too far. And I mean, literally, Norman only has to say 1 or 2 words for me, and I'm like, Cindy, you're not on stage, stop acting. It's always that note from him, and it's fine, and it works out great, and I love him for it.
Yes, Allison, I think you had something you wanted to throw in there.
I was just going to throw in, I'm so glad that Hunter's involved in the show because his scenes with Maddie, I texted him today. I was like, that scene with Maddie after she did first, I was sitting on the couch like, crying. You're so great.
I agree.
That's all Joe. I mean, I just had to memorize the lines and try to put up the front. That's all Joe.
Don't sell yourself short there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Norman,
we agree with you.
True. It's true, buddy. I felt like I didn't get a chance to really connect with you on set because I came in kind of late to the game. But you're fast becoming one of my favorite people, especially on Twitter and Instagram.
That's nice.
You're one of the funniest people I think I know. So it's great. I'm really enjoying this.
Well, it was a circus. There's always that aspect of shooting that and with so many people in the cast, and we were shooting very quickly. We shot from July through October last year, and it felt like a train. It felt like a train that we all jumped on, and that we're jumping on and jumping off and jumping on and jumping off. And also in the first season of the show, you're finding locations, and you're finding the rhythm and the feel of the show. And I feel that a lot of my time when I wasn't shooting, I was off location scouting, trying to find. It took us forever to find the church and the high school because they kept showing me churches that I said, I don't like this church. I don't like. I don't see it. I don't see the scenes. I don't see how we're going to shoot it. The same thing about the high schools. They kept showing me these high schools that were just bland, and I wanted a high school that felt like it was built in the middle of the last century. It's what it said in the script. It said a mid-century high school. And I kept saying to our location managers, I want a mid-century high school. I want something that was built in the 50s or the 60s. And I was always off location scouting when I wasn't directing. And then when I'm directing, you're like juggling, 15 balls in the air. So yeah, it's I feel like we just started to get to know each other, Hunter, right at the end of the run, just about the time we were wrapping up.
Yes, Tammy has a question for you, Norman.
Yeah. So, the upside about social media, Norman, is you really get to see, and to your point of, this response being unexpected. Like, holy moly, people really do love this show. So I was on Twitter, and there's this tweet from Marvelously Millie at Millie INC. She says, "Thank you, Netflix, for this. saying I love this show isn't enough to describe how I feel. I need 4 more seasons, ASAP. It's too rich and fulfilling, like a hearty Southern meal.
Oh, I love that.
I love
So I think, you know, what it made me think about is, why do you think this show resonates so strongly to so many different generations as well?
Well, I think it's what we were talking about when we did the pre-show interview. I was talking to you, we had the conversation about what would you like to see the conversation be on social media, and I said I would really like it to be about values, because I feel the show is about values, and by that I mean the things that we value. We value our families, we value our friendships, we value our faith, however one chooses to express that. And I feel like the show is for me, I mean, I have very personal attachments to it. I grew up in Texas, and it reminds me so much of my upbringing. It reminds me of the church I went to. It reminds me of the friends I had in high school. It reminds me of the relationship I had with my siblings in a way that I think is very evocative, not nostalgic, because I think nostalgic tends to indicate, oh, I wish that there was, you know, that I was back there. I don't. I'm happy that I've progressed in my life, but I do like that it evokes something very deep in me and something very deep in my soul. And so I would like to think that the show is speaking to the soul of people. It's speaking to that part of them that exists outside of time. And because the town is, a friend of mine said, that makes me want to move to the South. And I said, well, it's an idealized South, you know.
I saw that tweet. I was like, oh,
good point. Yeah.
Oh.
It's a town in the South that really is very inclusive. That includes everybody. That includes people of all persuasions, of all points in their journey. And so I think that it's as I talked to you guys about when we did that first interview. Everybody can see themselves in this show. Everybody, you know, my mother can see herself. My teen followers from the various shows I've worked on can see themselves, and that's very exciting to me. Maybe some of the actors want to speak to that as well.
Well, I think that you mentioned, Tammy, like people of all ages who are getting so many different people who are loving the show, and I think it's because every generation is treated in this show with respect, and they have a truthful, real storyline. From my little granddaughter, played by Bianca, who you see her, you know, saying her prayers with her mother, wishing for her family to be back together, you know, to, hey, grandma over here. Everybody has a valued contribution, and their story is treated with truth and with dignity. Going through all the ages, from Bianca through the teenagers, through, you know, the younger lovers, through you, gorgeous young man, through, you know, Maddie, and then all the way up, you know. And I think it's Miss Frances and me, I suppose we're the elders. And I think that is why everybody relates to it. Plus, everybody has or had a grandmother, has or had a mom, a dad, remembers, oh my God, I remember myself as a teenager, horrific. And, you know, we can all relate to those different things. But I think that nobody's just like, oh, let's throw in a little kid here. Oh, let's bring in grandma, just have her just walk across the room. You know, no, she has her own little story, her own point of view, things she believes that line up with everybody else. So you're like, oh, what is she going to think about that? You know, you're a little bit interested. That's what I think.
I think also we're at a time where we're all isolating, as you can see from our little boxes, even on the screen. And there's something so beautiful about the show and the community that it's about. I was watching the last couple episodes today, and every time something goes wrong, those ladies come together to each other's house. They show up like without, it's all it takes is a text, and we're all like craving this connection and people around us, and we want to feel connected to our community and our families and our friends so desperately. And I don't think that's just because we're all isolated. I think it's just being compounded because we're isolated.
Yeah, I agree.
I think building off of what Norman said, it's aspirational. It's putting something out there that shows us that we want to be the best that we can be. I think I like to believe that most people want to be the best version of themselves. And I think that's what's so great about the show is it's kind of putting that on the forefront. It's like, yeah, we've got problems, we've got issues, but we're striving to be better. We're actively working on ourselves. And that's been a kick for me. So.
And I also love friendship between the women. I mean, there have been, many shows with friendship between women, but I haven't really, I mean, Norman, you know more about television shows than I do, but it's been a while since I've seen a lot of witty ones, a lot of funny ones, a lot of bitchy ones, which is fine. But this one, underneath everything, has real heart. And, I'm a single mother to 2 kids, and I have my own village of women around me. And so this, to me, resonates very, very deeply, and I think it's wonderful.
Oh, Carolyn, the scene, I think it's in 3 with you and Aunt Frances at the bar, and you guys are sitting at the, I love that scene. It's such a, oh my gosh. It's speaking exactly to what you're talking about. It's fantastic.
It's a nice scene. And again, how often do you see a scene between 2 women of our age in their 60s connecting and trying to help each other? I mean, basically, it seems like after 45, all your friends are dead or something. And I love the fact that she and, Miss Frances, and she goes to her and she's waiting, and, it just sort of re-emphasizes really the heart of the show, which is that we should be there to support each other, and they do care about each other. And, they can be, they can have their little differences and be a little snarky here and there, which we all are sometimes, me probably more than most. But I think that, the heart of this is what keeps it beating.
Yes, no, I love the way you guys all said that. That was amazing. And I guess I'll put this towards Hunter and Caroline. What do you guys feel was different about shooting a Netflix series versus some of the other series that you guys have done? Because we're kind of talking about the bingeable versus weekly here. So did you notice, what were your expectations and the difference?
Well, less money.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh my God.
Allison, where did you go?
I'm funny. No, what I think, actually shooting, there was no difference. It was just, except for this happened to be a wonderful cast and crew. I mean, I've been very fortunate. The series I've been on have all been just great people. So I really have no negative, I've never had a bad experience. No, that was a movie. So, but what I love is the fact that they release them all together. I just think that's magical, and that you can sort of watch it. It's like, I can wait for my son to finish his studies, and then we can sort of plan, and we can see it together, and I can share it with him. I mean, now that's not, it's not so uncommon, but I mean, that really separates Netflix. And I think that Netflix is very, very supportive of their TV shows, it seems to me, and they've been very supportive of us, to my knowledge. I mean, I'm just an actress, and I was thrilled, and it's like walking into a brand new family. I've never done a Netflix show before, ever, and it's great. I hope I'm part of the Netflix family for a long time now. I'm there, ready for all the grandmas there are.
I love that.
Yeah, what Caroline said, I mean, it drops all at the same time. So that's been a really fascinating discovery to see where people track kind of in the breadth of the episodes. But, if you're crazy like us, we watched all 10 in one day. And that was pretty fantastic to just get that big bite out of it. Also, access, like Netflix, there's so many people around the world with access to Netflix. And I think this has been an interesting experience because similar to what like the networks do, it just has such a wide berth and exposure. So you getting people from all over the world kind of chiming in to say, hey, we watched this. And that's a truly unique experience. And all at the same time again.
Mm-hmm. It was so hard for us to not watch it all at one time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So hard.
I have a question for you guys. Did you watch the episodes between the various interviews that you did about
only as we taped?
Yep.
Oh, that's
wow.
great. Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fun way to do it.
It keeps it authentic because it's so hard. Oh,
Mhm.
and but you're there. You feel like you're right there, and so it just makes
Yeah.
you more excited to get off and watch the new one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it was really nice to watch it and then talk to you guys. But you guys wrote it so beautifully because there was always some kind of a cliffhanger at the end that left my
Yeah.
jaw drop. Like, wait a minute, I need to know. But then we had to
Mhm.
do this. So I was like, oh my God, I have to wait. This is crazy.
Try and pry
I'm-
it out of you guys.
I thought that this was supposed to be kind of like the wrap-up interview. So I have like 5 shows I haven't seen yet. So I'm probably going to be quiet from now on.
We don't want to spoil anything for you. I'm surprised being on
No.
Twitter that you
I've been
haven't.
reading all, because I'm on Twitter and on Instagram, and I've been reading all these tweets going, when season number 2, that cliffhanger was unbelievable. I'm like, what happened?
Oh my gosh.
'Cause I
Well,
already
we
gone
were.
back- yeah, sorry, I was just gonna say, I already gone back to New York by the time they shot the last 5 episodes. So I didn't see the scripts. I didn't read them. I don't know what happened. Am I still
You're
alive?
gonna lose it.
Am I alive? I didn't die, did I?
No,
We're not telling
you
you.
didn't die. You didn't die in this one.
Or
Carol.
maybe we should ask
that,
Cheryl.
that was Gossip Girl.
You're not Gossip Girl.
I love that so much. Well, speaking of cliffhanger, I mean, Norman's lips are sealed. Tell me about that. You know, we all want to know who's in the car, and we know that you know.
You do, Norman.
Oh,
You
wait, we're
told us.
spoiling it
Well-
for Caroline. Oh my God, we're spoiling it for
As,
Caroline.
as I said, it took me a while to get it out of Cheryl, but you know, I've been sworn to secrecy. I do think that you know, it's interesting because people are some of the people on Twitter are outraged that they have to wait, you know, to find out.
Yeah.
But you know, it is a classic.
Oh, there's one.
classic way to get people to come back at some point. You know, it's I come from the generation where, you know, there was a show called Dallas back in the day, and it was like, who shot JR, and that was a month-long question that got people very, very excited. So hopefully, you know, hopefully we will get our second season, and once we get our second season, then hopefully we'll be able to get back to it in some type of timely fashion, and people will have answers to those questions. But,
Norman,
it
do you
was
think
a-
we'll be surprised? That's what I need to know. Are we gonna be surprised?
Of course we'll be.
You know,
gonna be like,
I
"Oh,
just
okay."
I plead the fifth on every front. I'm not going to do anything to tip your hand one way or the other.
You're smart.
So when exactly do you think we will expect word on season 2 or a renewal? Do you have any idea maybe on that?
You know, my guess is as good as yours in terms of when Netflix makes their decisions. From what I understand, they usually wait for a couple of weeks to a month to just see how the show is doing. But I would hopefully be able to speculate that since we're doing so well, that bodes well for us.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm more worried about is when we'll be able to go back to work safely and work in an environment where no one needs to worry about becoming exposed to something that may be disadvantageous to their health, because you know, people's lives and people's health is more important than anything else. And so, you know, we just have to wait and see what the industry says is going to be the safe thing to do. But you know, I'm very hopeful that we'll go back and continue to tell these stories. I think I told you guys before when I interviewed with you before, just how it was such a family. It was such a wonderful group of people. We really grew close. A lot of us were there from out of town, so you know, there was a sense of you know, we were working, and then we were together with each other the rest of the time as well. So it's a real family environment. I really miss everybody on the crew and in the cast. It's been a lovely experience from top to bottom. I have nothing negative to say about it.
Norman, when you guys are back in Atlanta, we'd love to come and visit you as well.
Well, I feel like that you're entitled to, after putting all this time and effort into helping us promote the show. So,
we would love it. You can come visit us in LA too.
you may have to like sit in some type of little bubble with you know, some little sanitized bubble. But
Maybe there'll be a scene in Sullivan's with the masks. Everybody's got their masks.
There you go.
Well, it's very exciting to me too, because we used a restaurant in Covington, Georgia, for the exterior of Sullivan's, and they're so excited. The people who run that, it's called the Mystic Grill, and they are saying that people are already coming in excited about the fact that it's the restaurant in Magnolias.
Oh, that's
They already have
That's
T-shirts that
amazing.
say Sullivan's on them that they're already selling. It's delightful that we were so supported by them. I feel like I had mini meals there because it was the restaurant we'd go to eat on our lunch break or for our meetings or whatever. So got to know the staff there very, very well, and the woman who owns the restaurant. It's just a lovely group of people.
Well, I love the idea of a Sweet Magnolias tour. Don't they have a Twilight tour there?
Yeah, or it's a Vampire Diaries tour. But
Vampire
yeah, I
Diaries.
think the next thing they'll be doing is the Sweet Magnolias tour. But actually, the woman who owns that restaurant actually shows up in episode 10 when the guy Micah comes to the restaurant, and Annie brings him out to the table where he was talking to a townsperson. That townsperson is the owner of the Mystic Grill.
Love that. Cool. Love that.
Miss Angie. So it was great to have her be a part of things. You know.
That's great. That little shout out. That's amazing. Yeah. And with Serenity, well, Carolyn, you might need to plug your ears, but I love with Serenity, one, that you're supporting all of the businesses, and there's so much beauty and positivity that comes through this. But maybe, Norman, you can let us in on the writer's room. The last episode had a completely different vibe to it, especially towards the end. So do you guys have a gauge or discussion on how dark, so to speak, you allow things to get?
Well, the writer's room had finished their work before we started production last year. So the writers had, I think they started in the fall of 2018 and then wrote until January. And then I came on as they were finishing up. Shelley Meals, who you guys interviewed, she and I had worked together on another show, and she is actually the person who introduced me to Cheryl. She was the one who made that connection. And so then Cheryl and I started talking, and then Cheryl did all the revisions on the scripts from that point on. I mean, bless her heart, she was working hard, because there's always the show that's in your mind when you're imagining it and you're writing it, but then there's the show that has to be fit into the 12-hour days that we have to shoot it, and to really figure out how are we going to shoot any particular show in 7 days in 12 hours. That's a formula. You got to figure out, okay, it's going to take 2 hours to shoot this scene. It's going to take 2.5 to shoot this scene. It's going to take 4 hours to shoot this scene. It really boils down to how many people are in a scene. And I always say to the actors and the crew that 5 minutes an hour is a full shooting hour on a 12-hour day. So for every 5 minutes you can save, you get an extra hour of shooting, if you can move it along. So that's one of the reasons why it's like I said, it's a train, it's moving. And so oftentimes, an actor will have a question, and I'll just say, let's just shoot it. Let's just shoot it, and we'll figure it out as we go along. You're going to stand here, you're going to stand there, and you can work out what you're going to do, and I'll come in and adjust if I feel like I need to. But it's one of the reasons why I think it's so important for actors to be really prepared and to really do their research and have strong choices and know what they're bringing to the table, because their television is a very different experience than even a feature film is, but certainly from theater, there's not the rehearsal time where you figure things out. And because of that, you get something that's quite alive. You get something that's very much people figuring things out. There's times where a character is evolving in the middle of a scene, even, because you're discovering what the balances are. I remember the scene, Allison, maybe you want to speak to this, but we did the scene where Maddie's character comes over to Mary Vaughn's house, and they have their whole little argument about the baseball fundraiser versus the spa opening. And that was a scene where, it was almost like at a certain point, I was like, ladies, just start talking right on top of each other. Just keep the energy up, keep it up. Don't worry about trying to clear for the overlaps, because the energy of the scene is in the fact that neither one of these women wants to let the other one talk. And that was something that we were discovering on the spot, you know. And I can't remember, Allison, was that the first scene you'd done with Joe? Or no, of course not, because that was episode 5. So you'd already done a couple of scenes with her by that point. But you'd already done scenes in 3 and 4 with but I do think that, you know, oftentimes that's the process of what's happening, is that you're discovering the balance of the scene as you do it. And it's exciting. It's also a little bit like walking on a tightrope. And anyway, I don't mean to monopolize it. Allison, go ahead and speak to that.
No, that's also so beautifully said. I still struggle with that, I think, as an actor. I started in the theater, and the whole, you know, overlap but don't overlap thing that you have to do for mics on set is really, it's a challenge. And trusting yourself and trusting that you'll be, if you say the words, it's enough, is a hard. And yeah, I think when we were in that scene, I think we were still figuring out, I think too, because it's the first season, we're still figuring out who we are, sort of. And that was a hard scene for some reason. It was, and it was the first time I think 2 people went really, or in my experience of shooting, it was the first time 2 people went really head to head. And so it was, or for me, it was a challenge. Yeah, that tightrope. I'm still getting used to that feeling.
Part of my job, I feel like, is to make actors comfortable with that tightrope. Part of it, my job, is to really come in and say, and I think I remember the night that you were doing the auction. I could tell that Allison was really, because she had so much to say. She had this huge monologue, and I was really feeling for her, because I could see that she was. And I was like, it's okay. It's all going to be in pieces, you know. And that's part of my job, is just to say, relax, but have fun. And the hard part on any given television show is, I think, casting it correctly. And we did in this situation. We spent a lot of time casting it very carefully. Cheryl, myself, Dan Paulson, Matt Drake, our line producer, the 4 of us. We really, and then certainly on the other blocks of episodes, the directors of those, Kelly Williams and Laura Peters, they were very involved in the casting. But we cast this show so carefully so that I had the confidence. We have the right people in all our parts. We have the right people here. We don't need to worry about it not coming out okay. It's going to be good, because everybody that we cast is really good. And so a lot of my job is just trying to make the actors feel comfortable. And I certainly hope I did that with the 3 of you.
I need to jump in, because you absolutely did. And I started to really trust that the camera and the mic and everything was going to be there to support me. I don't know why, but I always feel like I have to do it 100% all the time. It's like my jazz hands interior. Really needs to get it right all the time. So yeah, I so appreciate you. That's what I feel like I learned the most in this show, in this job, was learning to trust the director and that he's going to support you through it.
Yeah. I also think, Allison, to be fair, it's very challenging to do a scene with a lot of dialogue when you have about 75 extras there.
Yeah, and they're staring at
all surrounding. And it's the director's trying to move them, and there's all this stupid crap that happens that's not your fault. You know, the extra forgot to come, or he didn't have his little paddle with him, and then you sort of feel, as the actor with the big speech, oh my God, please don't let me, please let me at least do it right and give it form, But you did great. It was a great scene. I loved it. And I got a handsome guy for my date.
$500.
Yes, $500.
And there are also really happy accidents that happen. Like we decided in the spa opening scene, the party, there was the dancing, and there were some things that just because of the number of people, we were working out what we could do, and I said to we were blocking to see where everyone was dancing, and I just said, Hunter, why don't you just walk over to Jamie Lynn and ask her to dance, and then they kind of introduced each other right on top of each other, And then Hunter, I think you said, "Oh, jinx," which was just totally an ad lib. But happy accidents happen like that as long as actors are feeling comfortable and grounded, and that to me was the most important thing. I just kept saying over and over again, we're not pushing this. These are real people. It's grounded, real situations. Don't feel like you're performing. Just feel like you're just being there with the other actor. And I really do feel like that we achieved that. But I love that moment, Hunter, when you asked her to dance, and because that was just so spontaneous. And remember how tired we all were. It was just like it was 5 a.m. or something, and then Carolyn had this big walk she had to do. They start dancing, and then Carolyn walks by them and goes all the way over to the other ladies and
Girls,
just
I
trying
know.
to.
I was like, they said, "Oh, can we just walk to the music?" And I was like, "Please don't look like white women dancing."
Oh my God, this has really been so great. You guys, what was that, Carolyn?
No. And I said, and my kids were not embarrassed, and my son's different. When he saw me go my son was like, and then he was like, oh. So I was like,
amazing. You know what? I know the fans have enjoyed this as much as we have. You guys have given us so much insight and behind the scenes, and we're deeply appreciative of it because it really does round out the show and help us, really see other parts of things and kind of pulls it all together because most people have already watched all 10 episodes. So I really want to thank you guys for your time and expertise. But, before we get out of here, I would love to go to each one of you one by one and not only share your social media handles, but what message do you have for the fans? Just a little something that they can take away from your characters. So Hunter, we'll start with you if you don't mind.
Sure. My social media handle is I am Hunter Burke. It's all one word, uninterrupted. And then what do I want to say to the fans? Thank you for watching, for connecting, for connecting with each other about the show. And thank you for talking to other people about it. I mean, this is why we do it. We do it for an audience, and it's been really wonderful to see the swell of appreciation for everything. So thank you.
Beautiful. How about from you, Allison?
Hi. You don't need me to say hi. Sorry, I'm such.
I loved it.
No, it's okay.
My social media is Allison XO on Instagram, and for the fans, I just want to say, bless your heart for watching.
Oh yeah.
Oh my.
I love that. Absolutely. Carolyn, why don't you jump in here?
Hi. So my Instagram and my Twitter is Ms. MS Lagerfelt, Lagerfelt, all one word. And I just want to say I've never experienced anything like this, a part this beautiful. I am so grateful to our producers, our writers, Norman, and to the fans. Please stay with us. There's going to be a season 2. I'm praying for it.
Yes, we are all praying for it. And last but not least, our favorite, because you are all over the social media and we are loving it. Norman, tell them where we can find you.
Yeah, I'm in Norbuck, Norbuck. I came up with that handle way back in the day because it was the name of my corporation, and I was like, all right, I guess this is what I'll use on Twitter and Instagram, and it seems to have stuck. So Norbuck, and I would just say also thank you to the fans, but also thank you to you guys. I mean, I really I've enjoyed so much just the deep dive analysis that you've given to the show, and you're also enthusiastic, and I love your questions, and I mean I listened to 3 of these last night in a row, so I just was sitting there myself like listening to you guys talk, and I just think that it's so gratifying when you're working and you're working in a bit of a bubble. We did this show last year. We shot it from July till October of last year, and so it's like a little boat you set out to sail, and it's really wonderful when it brings back this kind of enthusiasm, and what you've done is very rich, and I think that all of us are very grateful
Yeah, we love you. I love you all so much. You're the best.
Oh, we love you
all.
Yes,
Thank
we love
you.
you all. And thank you so much for honoring our work. And of course, our producers and everyone at AfterBuzz for giving us the opportunity and working tirelessly with us. So thank you guys so much. That was amazing. It was so good to chat with those fan favorites and hear from executive producer Norman Buckley. Up next, we're getting into the juicy stuff. We have Headley, Dion Johnstone, Michael Shenefelt, and Harlan Drum. What's going on, you guys?
Awesome.
Welcome.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, so
Thanks for having us.
Yes, we're so glad to have you. So I want to start, and we'll start with you, Heather. I want to ask you guys, did you expect to be #1 on Netflix, and how does it feel?
You know, I told my husband this morning that I was like, I guess I didn't expect it. I guess I expected, you know, the show to come out and people to like it, you know, my mom to tell all her friends and it would be okay, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And then we saw it, like it went to 5 and I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And then 2, and I took a picture. I was like, okay, this is a great. And then this morning I put my tablet on and I was like, what? And so, I just have to say I am very humbled. I'm verklempt, as they say. I am. Oh, Siri's talking to me for some reason. I'm humbled. I am way. You're just overwhelmed by it, and overwhelmed by America and the world. You know, like people who want this kind of story. You know, I just thought. I was like, oh, you know, the stories are different on Netflix and things are different. People need this and that. And I just feel this, it's beautiful that people just want to see something about lives and friendship and loyalty and, you know, the problems we have in the world. And so, yeah, I guess I didn't expect it. And then I didn't expect it to be this quick. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, it was overnight and people, I'm like, it's so I'm very much overwhelmed and so gracious and don't know what to do with myself. My kids, even my son was like, Mom, we're #1 because he did a little extra. He's like, we're #1. So, and then they moved on, of course.
I love that so much. Harlan, what did you think?
Same thing. I was very, very overwhelmed by it. It's obviously the coolest thing ever. You know, I've been watching Netflix for a long time now, and you just never expect it. But yeah, I'm really happy that people enjoy it as much as everyone enjoyed working on it. And the characters mean a lot to us. It's the same way that they're meaning a lot to other people. So it's really cool. I'm very happy about it.
Congratulations. I'm so glad. Michael, how did you feel about being #1 and waking up to that news this morning?
Well, it had Headley in it from the start, so I don't know why this is a huge surprise to everyone. But I've actually...
This is called Team Ryan. Team Ryan.
I'm the only one still there.
Dion, you're next. You're gonna come better come good.
But I've my like tight-knit group of friends who we don't have sports to watch. The thing we're doing is we're sort of getting following shows together and watching a lot of movies, and we get into these like very, very heated debates about film. And there was one particular film that I saw a week and a half ago that I just loved, and the bet that we had going was that we were going to have a themed party of this film if Sweet Magnolias got to #1 on the charts, and we did it. So the phone has been going crazy, and as soon as the world opens back up in a safe way, there's going to be a lot of celebrating going on. So
I love that. We are here for the party. Chef Erik, Mr. Dion, what did you think about being #1?
Oh, just blown away. It's an incredible feeling. I mean, we're here, and well, I mean, I love #1 is Heather Headley's face right on there. You know? Doesn't get more beautiful than that. But what equally blows my mind is
I got to take a call.
Is the binge factor. That's been blowing my mind as well too. Is how many people are saying I'd started play and I'm already done. and I can't believe this. Where did the time go? This is phenomenal. I've never been a part of a wave like that, and I know certainly when we shot it, I really hoped it would find and reach its audience, because I thought we were creating something very special. But to see the effect that it's having on people right now is deeply, deeply humbling and beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, I love that you brought that up, the bingeable Netflix factor, because I know a lot of you guys have been on a lot of different shows and movies and films. Maybe Harlan, I'll ask you, what did you think felt different about having it be bingeable as opposed to having to wait a whole week for another episode to come out?
I think that this phenomenon of binge watching is so amazing, because it gets people really, really connected to the show, because people spend all day watching it, and you can kind of watch it at your own pace at whatever time you want. And I mean, it's insane. It's so cool how everyone's getting to see all the episodes all at once, and you don't have to wait. And yeah, I think it's a really cool way to watch a show, especially this show. It's so like you just want to keep seeing more of it the more it goes on. And you know, it's really cool.
Yes, absolutely. This has been a great ride. Tammy, what are some of your thoughts and questions that you had?
So I know when we had Cheryl J. Anderson and Norman Buckley on the pre-show a while ago, Cheryl said something really profound. She said it took a community to tell a story about community. And social media, we've taken some of the tweets from the fans, and this one, Cassie at Cassie04212 says, love this show. I sat down and binge watched the entire season. I'm ready for season 2. I love the fact that all 3 of the main characters were allowed to shine. I love the friendship, the sense of community. Thank you so much for such a beautiful show. And it really just led us to think, when you talk about that sense of community, what part do you think that played in making the show #1 on Netflix?
Well,
yeah, let's start with you, Heather.
Yeah. Well, I would say, that I'm loving the fact that it has shined through the television and through the camera and to the people watching it, because I do feel that we had a sense of community on the set. We had a very familial sense. We all kind of came in and talked together, and we didn't, let's say, hang out after, but there was always a sense of kind of community. We were in this little serenity, and Norman and Cheryl always promoted that. So I love the fact that it has reached through cameras and reached through televisions and into hearts. And I do feel that we're part of a world right now where we long for community again. And we remember what community is and how much we love it, and so I'm grateful that people see that and that we remember. I think some of us live in big cities, and sometimes you forget about that small town community where everybody knows your name and everybody knows your problems and they know your business. But they also can lend you a cup of sugar, and they also come to your aid when you need things. You know what I mean? And we long for that. So I'm really grateful that it reached its hands. What was going on the set reached its hands through the cameras, and to everybody that's watching it now.
Yes, let's talk about things seeping through the set and kind neighbors bringing stuff over, such as some cinnamon ice cream. We have Helen, Erik, and Ryan with us here. So you guys tell us a little bit about your interaction. And Heather, did you have chemistry naturally with one or the other more, or Ryan?
You placed me in a very precarious,
I'm taking notes here. I'm taking notes.
You're right. Very precarious situation. All I want to do is talk to Harlan, because I don't want to be in the middle. This would have been a much better Real Housewives of Serenity if these two could fight it out.
Oh my God.
These two gentlemen are great actors, right? But beyond that, they are good men. and gentle men. And so, and then they're good looking men. And so they came to the set with all of that power and all of that majesty of being, you know, these men, but were also gentlemen and gave both our relationships on screen time to flourish. And I like that. I'm like, let's find the relationship. And I think when I look back on it now, I can see the relationships grow, you know, even like the little things between Erik and Helen, I'm like, oh my goodness, I could see it, you know, grow through the time together. And of course, Helen's relationship with Ryan is different because but you know, he comes back as well. So the guys were great. And I had a great time working with both on, you know, it's two different relationships, different levels. So it was great. And you know, look, happily married, happily in love with girlfriend, you know, happily married. So it was good. There was the chemistry between the, you know, the characters. But then we'd sit down and be like, so when are you getting married? What is going on with you? How's your wife? How's your husband? How's it going? Because that was the kind of familiar, you know what I mean? Like that family thing that was happening, that you're kind of like, oh, we're in love, Helen and Ryan, but how's your girlfriend going?
I want to ask I'll ask the three of you, of course, the obvious question, but I want to ask Harlan, from not being involved in this little love triangle, are you Team Erik or Team Ryan?
Oh man.
Brutal.
I know. I feel like I'm the only person on earth.
Ryan broke our heart.
Of Ryan.
Like sometimes I'll be like, oh well, it's I think Erik. I don't know, but it's hard because every time there's a scene between the two of them, they're all such incredible actors. It's obvious, but they have such great chemistry, and every time I watch, you know, them in scenes, I'm like, well, I could be changing my mind. But long story short, probably Erik, though. Probably Erik.
Can I have the conch shell and speak for a little bit? See, it's been a bittersweet week because even my mother, my aforementioned sweetheart, and yours truly are Team Dion more than anything. I think I only got to share one day on set with him, but he just exudes confidence, intelligence, and charm. And I was like, well, I mean, if I were a girl or a guy or anyone, like, this is my guy right here.
Vice versa.
I tried to look at tweets to see if there were any Team Ryan tweets, and couldn't find any.
I'm still kind of there. I'm like holding on by a very thin thread. So
Ryan, come on.
What about DMs? Any DMs? Any Team Ryan, Team Erik DMs?
You know what's wild for me in this is we only shot that one day together, which was the opening of the spa. And pretty much our characters' lives are separate from each other. So we would be in on different days and maybe see each other in passing. And as an actor, that's a fun dynamic to play. But sitting and watching the show and seeing all of the scenes that Helen and Ryan have together, it's just like an arrow in the heart. It's so hard to because I'm rooting for Erik, of course. But it was fun that one day, that one moment of seeing the two of you together and going, I can't fight history. And you know, as a character, if this is the way that it's meant to go, all right. But you know what? I think game on. Game on. You know, I had a moment of that little twinkle of okay, I see what she likes.
Real recognize real.
So I think it's going to be it'll be interesting in the hopefully next season to see how that goes on, because you know I think Dion says it well. History is a very powerful thing, and I know as women, ladies, we can kind of attest to this sometimes, that when you have created a scenario, when you've created a story in your mind about this person, you know what I mean? And as women, we do that very quickly. We find him and we're like, I see the dress, I see our children, I see your nose on the children, I see when we died. You know what I mean? You're gonna be over my casket, we're gonna live. And then when you have a breakup, I think sometimes it's so difficult to rewrite that story because the entire story that I've plotted had this person in it, you know? And so I think Erik and his pot pie are gonna be fighting against this history between these two people. I mean, that's the scary part, is that Ryan does, you know, they do this. He comes back in and that's her weakness. That's her kryptonite every now and then. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. You know what I mean? And if maybe she's got some other friend, you know, deep down in Georgia that she but it'll be, I'm excited because, you know, we don't even know, right, guys? Like, we just get the script and we're just kind of like, oh, that's how it's gonna go. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this goes. Maybe I'll take Coach Cal from Maddie.
Or Ronnie, you know, get some Ronnie.
Erik, it's the pot pie, it's the cinnamon ice cream, it's the brownies. It's that he can fish. It's that he can meditate.
The obstacle that I think one of the things that I'm interested to see how this works out is his PTSD, his trauma from his past marriage, and how much has he reconciled that in himself? Because it feels like he's just at the beginning of the journey of healing that wound.
Yeah.
So how can you be available? Because I mean, there's no doubt that he's really into Helen, but how can you be available to be in a relationship if that's not healed? You know,
and that's going to be an interesting sort of butting up against Ryan's issues. You know, he's doing all this humanitarian work, and there's a little sliver in that last scene that he has seen some real tragedy. You know, and he speaks a little bit about this, you know, the infant death rates in this village and whatnot, and how that was preventable. So he's got his own, that's what's driving him and Helen apart. And now Erik has his thing. So I think Helen Decatur is in for it in season 2. It's good. Heartbreak and heartbreak.
In for it.
Michael, I did want to say, because you know how much of an issue I had with Ryan from the get-go. And I was like convinced he was going to hurt Helen. Didn't know how. And you were winning me over because it was such, you know, everything between Helen and Ryan was so beautiful. And it happened. You heard her. But when we finally heard Ryan's story as to why he didn't want children, like, I got it. And I think one of the questions I had for you as an actor is, was that a challenge for you to slip into that defense? Like, here's why I don't want children. Because he came down pretty hard on Helen. Like, he was very definitive about it.
Yes. Thank you for that question. What a meaty question. I actually remember that night was the first night I got to meet Mr. Brian Musso, who I think is just the bee's knees. And this guy's like so cool. Between takes, I had to run out and just like sort of glue on to Brian. He was like this sort of big brother I never had, you know, he's just a cool guy. But I remember that evening telling Cheryl Anderson, we were having a heart-to-heart. It was a long evening shoot. And inevitably there's going to be some downtime. And I remember telling Cheryl, and this is the God's honest truth, my biggest goal in life is to be a husband and a father without question. Actor is a distant third or even fourth, as much as I love it. So to speak those words into existence was a tricky thing, because like, not only do I not want to hurt Helen Decatur or Heather Headley, and finding that truth in me, how I could see myself in what it's the what if, you know, what would the circumstances, what would it take what would the circumstances be for me to completely say no, not ever to something I've wanted for my whole life. So that was a tricky thing. And it's, how much Ryan, it's figuring out how much he would want to lean into the vulnerability of it, or does he sort of do that like sometimes awful masculine trait where you just sort of like, no, this is what happens. This is what I want. Do we have a problem here? Is there something we need to talk about? And you can either kind of close down, and then hopefully there's this little like something that breaks open inside where he's like, here's why I can't sleep at night. And that's sort of where my convictions come from. So it's a tricky scene. And then having Helen on the couch there, who's just completely heart open, and then expressing, this is an expression of hope, and saying this borderline poetic, beautiful sentiments about something that Michael, the actor, wants so much. It was really one of my favorite scenes to do with her, because you really dug in there and got into the sort of the marrow of this relationship and these characters.
Yeah. I'll take you back.
Oh,
that is done.
I'll take you back.
Helen, Heather, every day when I got onto set, she was like, does she have that ring yet? Referring to my sweetheart. Still dating and so much in love. But yeah.
Wait, does she have the ring yet?
No. Hey.
Will Heather be the first person you call though when she does?
Maybe Brian will. Brian's
maybe, yeah, no. Yeah. But I got Brian Musso on speed dial. We got sports bets.
I like a good betting, so come on. We're
gonna watch this Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson golf thing if that happens this weekend. Brian and I, we're gonna be,
I want to ask Harlan. We got the little promposal scene, that was so cute and fun. What did you think about all of that? Like, how did it feel for you also to be the one to ask, like just as CeCe and as an actress as well? What did you think of that?
Well, I thought that CeCe would definitely be the one to ask the prom question. It's clear that Ty isn't really that into her, unfortunately. I think that showed that CeCe really is more confident and more strong than people really give her credit for. And I don't really think that she's not worried about what other people are going to think, as far as, that was obviously quite a scene that she pulled. I really like that scene. I think that it showed that CeCe is willing to kind of take the reins, even if Ty's kind of reluctant of it. And that she's kind of coming to herself the more the season goes along. I think that she really realizes that she has a voice, and that was just another example of her really finding that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm the biggest Ty and Annie fan.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
Harlan, Norman says that this was your first, right? Your first show, right?
Yeah, I did small things in movies, but this was my first real. Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, first, you know what I mean?
Amazing.
I know.
It is crazy.
Bravo.
It's and a lot, Anneliese too. It's like the first, and it's just really, we're blessed to have them, because I remember looking at them, just kind of being like, no, you know what I mean? Because they came on, even their backstage etiquette was offset etiquette was amazing. And so to know that this is like the first kind of thing that,
I really lucked out on this.
No, it's not. We lucked out. I just think, and no, I'm not talking about you having the first, this is your first on the show, being like, it's sweet, but it's the fact that you gave such a great performance. You know what I mean? Like you are that, you are that girl at school that you're just like, why is she coming back? We all had you in high school. We were just like, she's cute. Here she comes again. So you just did it really well, Harlan. And I just thought I'd take a minute for the first time. You know what I mean? For you to be saying to me that this is your first time doing this. Just know it's an awesome.
Thank you. I
didn't get to see it until this minute, so.
I was so fortunate that I really had so many incredible actors to kind of bounce off of. Like it really was such a talented cast, and everyone was so perfect for their part. And it made it so much more comforting for me because it's my first thing. I was so nervous going into it, but everyone was so nice and so welcoming. And I owe everything I did in this show to everybody else, because everyone really made me feel so welcomed. And I'm very, very happy that I got this opportunity for sure. Especially my first.
Congratulations. You're great.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, Michael, didn't you have some thoughts on that? Because you hadn't had any scenes with Harlan, so you kind of had your own perspective.
So the way that this was presented to me was my parents started without me, because I mentioned in the last session that I've been quarantining at mom and dad's house in Florida for like a long time. And, but they mentioned the character CeCe, which I don't even think in the episode read-throughs, as I had missed one or two. I don't know if I even got to meet Harlan, the actress, so the whole storyline, but my parents sort of gave you this like honorable mention thing. And I was like, all right, well, let me see what she's got. And then it wasn't until, I thought you were crushing everything, but it was really when when that sort of like mentor-mentee relationship started with Helen Decatur, and then your sort of big bodying, bullying that you did in the courtroom, coming in like a bulldog. And I was like, this girl is going to be on a network series in 6 years and buying all the drinks for the rest of us, because you were so dialed and so sharp. And yeah, you got to teach me your tricks. That's awesome. That's good work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I was just gonna say, I want to know what you guys all want to see from your characters if/when we get a second season. Let's start with Dion.
Well, there's, as I was saying earlier, there's a big crack has opened for Erik in terms of his past and the healing that needs to happen, and I would like to see that explored further, for one, because there's stuff that he needs to get out, and I think that needs to happen in order for him to properly be able to be with Helen, and I'm really hoping that things move forward, that he gets together with Helen. So that's what I want to see in season 2. I want to see movement in that direction.
Love that.
We would love that as watchers, honestly. So I guess we have our fingers crossed. Michael, what do you want to see from your character in season 2?
More time off screen with Brian Musso, I think. What I really want. I don't know. I mean, we've all or the viewers of AfterBuzz have all seen the writers and have witnessed throughout the course of the season their willingness to kind of dive deep and dig into these creative ideas and deep character work. So I am totally at their mercy, and I'm just hoping that Ryan doesn't stay in Africa doing humanitarian stuff, and he does find his way back to serenity in some regard. And it'd be neat if he had sort of an opening and what is that? It's you see the light moving in and through Erik, and Ryan hasn't been cracked open enough yet to let that light shine through. So it would be, however that looks, that's what I'd like to see. And just to spend another 2 or 3 months with this entire cast would be a dream.
Yeah.
How about you, Miss Decatur? Heather, what would you like to see more of from Helen in season 2?
Oh goodness. There's a lot to do for Helen. There's a lot to talk about the past, her parents and why she's back in serenity, why she stayed, why she came home, why she stayed. There is her entrepreneurial exploits and how that's gonna, she's got to be there for Maddie and Dana Sue. And so there's all that. But I think Helen, as she says in those final episodes, her deal is to get drunk and pregnant. In that.
I felt that. I felt that. I was like, well, you gotta do what you gotta do, girl.
I gotta get drunk and pregnant. And I think she's at that age where she's starting to feel very desperate. And I said to somebody the other day that Helen, there was one of my favorite Whitney Houston songs is "Run to You," and I feel like it's the theme song for Helen. It's "Run to You." It's
Can you sing a bit of that right now?
Please. We need it. Little piano too.
Let's just do a strong 16 bars real quick.
But no, I do. I think where other people want to open the door and hear quiet, Helen wants to open the door and hear noise. She wants to open the door and have somebody there. She wants to open the door and hear kids running around. And as successful as she is, as smart and as bright as she is, she's missing so much. She's missing love from a man, love from a child, and she yearns for that and craves it. And so it's going to be interesting to see if what that calling is, if she can have a kid, if it's an adoption, if it's a pregnancy, and then so there's all of that, all of that stuff, and then just Helen being up in everybody's business, and she's got to take care of Peggy and what's that other one's name?
Mary Vaughn.
Get up in Noreen.
That scene with you and Peggy in the oh my gosh, where she touches your hand, she's all like, oh, I'm like, Peggy, get out of here. Get out of here, Peggy. Come on now.
But you always have those girls, right, that you had the fight with and nobody ever cleared it up. And and you just don't remember why you don't like them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just like, why don't we get along again? I don't even remember, but and so I love Mary Vaughn is just like, she's, I'd be Mary, yeah, she's fun. But I think Helen has a lot to go through and deal with, and a lot more breaking, I'm sure, to learn, and a lot more growing up, growing. And it'll be fun. We'll have a good time.
Oh,
so y'all come on back.
Yes, Harlan, what were your thoughts on, how you want to show up in season 2? And when that does happen, because we're all believing for it, is there anything different or something else that you want to add to your character now that you kind of see how season 1 went?
Well, I think that I really want CeCe's vulnerable side to really show, because it did a little bit in season 1, but I think I really want to explore that. I think that the bully or the mean girl, they're such interesting characters for an actor to play, because you really have to think, okay, why are they acting like this? Every bully or mean person that there's a reason why they act the way they do, and most of it is from insecurities and sadness. And I think that it's going to be really cool to see how CeCe grows, and her relationship with Helen also. I really want to explore that more, because I think that Helen brings out a strength in CeCe, but also brings out that vulnerable side, and also really makes her realize her worth. So I hope that continues. And as far as anything else that I think I'm going to figure that out as I go along, like I did with season 1. I think that I'm trying to get to know CeCe too, like everybody else. So I hope that we see her vulnerable and sensitive side come out a little bit more.
Yes. If Ty gets recruited, then you're going to be a WAG, Wives and Girlfriends of Sports Stars.
Jo's hosting our show with us. We asked her to help.
Brian, I know your opinions on CeCe are shifting every now and then. I hope that I can make you proud.
You already persuaded me a while ago, but I'm just like, almost there. I'm almost on Team CeCe.
I gotta persuade a lot of people on CeCe, I have a feeling, but fun.
I love it. And you guys brought up some really great points, and I appreciate you guys letting us in. And I just, I love the way Heather and Harlan, you guys got to work together. And, Heather, you've been in this game for a while, and Harlan's kind of new. So I love how you were able to kind of mentor her a little bit. And I'm sure that that was really fun behind the scenes to kind of just work together and maybe run lines and things like that.
The dynamic of CeCe and Helen, her kind of looking up to her in a way. I mean, I definitely, as an actor, I look up to Heather. I mean, it's hard not to, but I think that dynamic really showed on screen the kind of the role model-esque type vibe that we had going on. So yeah, I hope that gets explored more often, because I think that that's such an important storyline for both characters.
Yeah, in real life and on the show.
Right.
Absolutely.
I know. It really was a pleasure for all of us to just be around each other. And I think, it's always symbiotic, because you learn from people as well. Just because, we've been in the game doesn't mean that learning has to continue. And so you see different ways of like, somebody like Harlan coming in, and you're kind of like, oh, that's a nice, maybe let me write that down. I'll go practice that in the mirror. Practice that at home. You know what I mean? So it's great because you do that. And I think what she said was just really so spot on, that the bully needs to be addressed, and the bully needs to be dealt with to some extent, and the bully needs to stop. But the bully also, that comes from somewhere. And I think one of those beautiful scenes is with her dad, when he's just kind of like, get back. What are you doing? You're supposed to take care of your kids, your brother and sister. She has no time for this. This is what we do. We don't go to college. And you hear, just from that little scene, you just know so much about this child. And so many kids deal with that. You know what I mean? They come to school looking cute, and they give that attitude, and they want to bring everybody down. But at home, there's all this stuff going on, and we just have to look back. So I think she brought such a beautiful, and I think everything Harlan did, there was this kind of smirk to it, but you could see behind there was just this, this pain. And then when the father shows up, you're like, oh, this is what's going on. So I don't know. We've all learned, from each other, and it really was a great experience. And I'm just honored and blessed and humbled and just kind of in complete shock and awe, as they say, that we hoped for this. We hoped that it would be like this, but it's beyond me. So I'm really excited about it. And that everybody gets to see these amazing people that I get to hang with, yeah, and eat a lot of Popeye.
I love that so much. And, we've gotten the same feedback from your other cast members. We've been talking to them all day, and Norman's really proud of the choices he made, and, him and Kelly Williams bringing you all on board, the synergy, and, everybody just has wonderful things to say about the characters on and off the screen. And we've really enjoyed that so much. And even for you guys to come back for the reunion and kind of just wrap up some of these ideas for us. I know you guys watching at home are loving this. Maybe season 2 isn't here this very second, but we're still getting something from you guys, because I think the fans already miss you. They miss you as people. They miss Serenity. So has anybody gotten any touching, tear-jerking, or amazing DMs, or something that showed you that your character really has shifted the mindset of a watcher?
Oh yeah, I got a direct message from a person who, in their past, served as an EMS, and in the episode when Erik assists Noreen with her pregnancy, and then has the breakdown right after, and then goes to the PTSD support group, this person was like, I know that so well. I had to leave the profession because of my own trauma. So thank you. The detail, how you attended to Dana Sue when she collapsed, that's so like point perfect to what we do, and it's not often represented that well on television. So thank you. And I was like, oh my God. I hope you don't. Are you okay if I share this with our showrunner and executive director Cheryl Anderson and the writing team? I'm sure that they would love it. And this person was like, absolutely, please pass on. So I was just like, because that was something that we worked really hard to make real and authentic, and to know that someone out there watching this show is being seen, and that's just for my character. So many people on so many levels with so many characters are finding their story being told, And that's an amazing thing to be a part of contributing to that.
Gosh, that is so powerful. And thank you for sharing that. We need to hear things like that. Gosh, we really could talk to you guys so much more and get more, but we are running out of time. But before we get out of here, we just wanted a few words for you guys to shout out to the fans. So maybe Harlan, we'll start with you. Just a few things, just shout out and some love to the fans that are watching.
Well, I mean, I'm very, very humbled, and I thank everyone for watching. It's something so cool that when you work hard on everything and you see how hard everybody else works, and then people get to see it and they enjoy it. It's like the coolest feeling that, and I've never felt anything like that before. And seeing how people are reacting to this is just, it's really feeding my fire, and I hope it's doing the same thing for everybody else. So I hope there's a season 2 to give people, because I know they want it.
Yes, we love it. Michael, what would you say to your fans, all the fans of Sweet Magnolias?
Give Ryan a chance, I guess. No, tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell everyone about this show, because I think this is fits right into what we're craving right now, which is a sense of community, a sense of people being their best selves, or at least striving to be, and helping one another. And I think that as sad as things can, or as scary as things can be in the world right now, this is a balm for the soul. So thanks for watching.
Yes. Dion, what would you say to the fans?
Thank you for watching. I mean, we can put all of this together and put it out there, but if nobody watches it, it doesn't mean anything. And it's really you, the audience, who have chosen this story and chosen to spend the time with us. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And I hope we can come back and continue the journey and keep telling these stories.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for that. And last but not least, Heather, what would you say to all of the fans out there?
Oh goodness, there are thousands of shows on Netflix. I know this because I've gone through most of them and during this.
At this point.
Yeah, there are thousands of shows, and the fact that you have chosen ours, and that many of you have chosen ours, it doesn't make us say, "Oh, it humbles us greatly." And we are beyond humbled. I always tell people, like, when we're on stage, we bow, and people have taken the bow, I think, wrongly. It's not, "Oh, you came to see me." It's more, I am humbled by you. In Asia, when they bow, it's because of humility. And so I take my bow to all the fans in humility and just say, thank you for watching it. And not just for watching it, but for loving it and for coming along for the ride. And just know that we didn't know last year when we were doing this, that this would be our world, and I have had great admiration for our essential workers and for everybody on the front line and the EMS workers and everybody who's doing this, and all of us who are home. And the fact that this is our way of having boots on the ground to entertain you and to make you laugh and to make you maybe cry or wonder which team you're on is the greatest honor and gift that we can give, because we didn't know this going in last year, but we're just so, I'm so honored to be able to say this was my way of helping the situation, you know what I mean, until we can all come out again. So just thank you. Know that we are so grateful and just so humbled. So thank you.
Oh my goodness, you guys all take a bow, and how things can change in 1 year. This has been so great. Gosh, wasn't that so amazing to see all of them on one screen again? Now, we all have one big question. Who was in the car? Now, there's only one way to find out, and that would be to ask the showrunner herself. So up next, Cheryl Anderson, Chris Medlin, Anneliese Judge, Brandon Quinn, and Logan Allen. You guys, this is amazing. How are you feeling? #1 on Netflix. Were you expecting it this morning? Somebody let me know.
I woke up to friends texting me, and I genuinely had to sit there and soak it in for a little bit, then give praise, and then start sending it to everybody I could think of in my family and friends. I had always hoped that we'd catch on, but I thought it might take us, 10 days or so. but it's really a testament to the fabulous actors who are here in this group and to the ones you've already spoken to in our amazing writers room and amazing crew that we got here in under a week. And it's a blessing, but it's a little surreal too.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's you never know what to expect with these releases. This is the first time I've ever worked with Netflix as far as having it all come out at once, so people can binge it. So I'm more used to a gradual grow. You have a pilot episode, and then a week later, episode 2, and whatnot. And I was surprised at how many people had binged this show in day 1. It blew me away. And from that point on, it just seemed like it was getting really good feedback, and more people were talking about it. And usually a big a way I determine it is like people from back home for me. I've had people come out of the woodwork. People I haven't heard from in like 15 years are talking about the show or sharing the show or loving the show. So I did not expect this kind of reception. And then we go to 5 and hold it 2 for a little bit, and now 1. I mean, it's pretty exciting.
Oh, it's so exciting for sure. I definitely feel the same way. It's very exciting and it's very surreal, but I felt like today was the day, if that makes sense. We hit 5 and then we held 2 for a little bit, and I journal every morning and every night just to collect my thoughts and kind of start my day that way, and then go to bed, not having so much going on in my head. And that's where I kind of, ask God for the things that I want, and I kind of thank the universe for everything that it's given me and everybody else, and all of the great things that are in my life right now. And I was like, we hit number 2. I was like, and we've held it here. I was like, it's coming though. Like, I really feel it. And I woke up this morning and I didn't look at it the first thing. I got up and I made myself some breakfast. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to check it. And I checked it and I saw it. It just felt so good. So something that I saw in our future, but not so soon for sure.
Yeah, I think we all knew that the show would be big, but I mean, this is just crazy. This is just to a whole new level. And like, Anna was saying, we held that 5 spot, like right from the beginning, which was just crazy. Then you had the 2, and I was waking up at like 6 o'clock or like 5 o'clock every single morning looking at it. And this morning, like, I just couldn't believe my eyes at first. It was insane. And all the fans have been so positive and so loving. It's been incredible.
It's been such an incredible week, I think, overall. And like Brandon was saying, this morning I woke up to a lot of unexpected friends that I hadn't heard from in a long time that, unbeknownst to me, had been keeping up with how the show was doing, had sent me screenshots and texts and just, congratulations for it. And not even being able to actually reply to them at all, because the first thing that I needed to do was text my grandmother that the show had made it to number 1. Was such a rewarding moment to be like, hey, like, check the internet, get on Netflix, check it, we're number 1. It was such a special thing to me to share with her.
Wow, that's amazing.
I love that. Gosh, we love that. Well, you guys deserve it. And Cheryl, oh my gosh, like you, Norman, and then, Kelly Williams coming in for directing. You guys really orchestrated the perfect harmony of people when it comes to cast, story, everything that you put in there. Just looking back on the whole process, a lot has happened in the year. Is there anything that you can speak to behind the scenes, especially with everyone here as far as their chemistry, congratulating some of these new artists who it's their first time being on the show? Like, a lot of them had everything to say that your presence and Norman's help and assistance and love really carried them through. So I'd love to hear you guys talk about some of that behind the scenes and what it really meant to be a part of this incredible project.
Well, I'll start off by saying that our younger generation, Chris, Anneliese, Logan, Carson, Harlan, they were a gift from God. And for a group who are either brand new or relatively new to TV, to watch them and see them performing with that assurance and that artistry of people who've been doing it for a very, very long time and holding their own with Brandon and the three ladies and Justin and people who've been doing this a bit longer. It's beautiful. This has been a tapestry of incredibly talented people, but also incredibly generous people. And I always look for, before the camera and behind the camera, look for people that are not only fabulous at what they do, but who I think are going to be fun to hang out with. It's sort of like planning a dinner party. Oh, I think they'll get along really well with them. And I think we'll all get along well because the vibe is there. And I am thrilled by the community that we built, not just on screen, but during production. And I could not be happier or prouder of how our amazing cast took scripts from the amazing writers' room and created this town where the last time I checked Twitter, everybody wants to move. And I'm with them. I'm headed back to Serenity too. So it's been amazing. And I think we talked the first time I talked to y'all that I want people to feel respected and valued and supported while they're giving their all to their art. And I hope the fact that we all enjoyed each other immensely is evident. And I do think it's part of what people are responding to, is great people having a great time doing great art.
Mm-hmm. Cheryl, I see your little
I
your little
know.
poster. Who's in the
I love
car?
that so much.
I am like
Cheryl.
screaming. I honestly, we're gonna get out of you, but I want to actually ask the rest of the cast who they think. So maybe I'll start with you, Anna. Who do you think is in the car?
I think that everyone hopes that it's them.
That's
Honestly,
hilarious.
I kind of hope that
That's really funny.
that it's me. Only because I just think that would be so fun. But it's also expected, so I don't know. I know that Carson wants it to be him. I know Logan wants it to be him. Simone wants it to be her. But there's so many different storylines I feel like that can branch out from anyone who's in the car that oh my gosh, it has been a running joke since before last October. As soon as we were at the table read for episode 10, it was like, who's in the car? I want to know who is in the car. And they will not budge. I remember when I visited Cheryl and her family in LA, I tried to sneak that into every conversation. I'd be like, yeah, what are we doing today? Where are we going? You know, do you want to pick anything up for dinner? Who's in the car? I'm thinking spaghetti. And she'd be like, wait, what did you just say?
That's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. And I love seeing all the theories. You know what I mean? It's amazing. I mean, the fans are really responding, and it's so cool. And they're putting stuff together that I would have never thought of. Like, seriously, a friend of mine was like, oh my gosh, well, so-and-so said this in episode 3. It's like, is that calling back? It's like, no, I don't know. I'm like, you're digging really deep into it. But no, I absolutely love it. And for me, and I was talking with the writers, and I was like, you know what? I got to get into character. You know what I mean? It's like Kyle already knows in that final scene, so I need to know who's in the car. But I was just messing with them. But, I think personally, I think it's going to be like Annie or Nelly or someone like that, but would that be too obvious? Like, I feel like they're going to throw something at us that we're not going to expect, but I still think Nelly, I think she's going to be in it.
Trying to look at Cheryl's face.
I love that.
Me too.
Her face.
I'm scared to share I'm scared to share too much of my own theory because if I get it right, cast change. So I don't want to tell you what.
Oh my goodness.
Brandon, how did you feel about episode 10? Like you showed up and took the whole thing by storm, and then here you are. Like, talk to us about your experience.
What the heck?
Well, it's interesting. Like, you know, I've been a part of series from the ground up, and obviously with this one, I came in, you know, at the very tail end, and you know, there's a camaraderie you build when you start at the beginning of something, and it's my favorite thing about television. It's why I started loving television long before television was cool, because I always loved that that family aspect of it. You get to know, you know, all your castmates and the crew so well. You get to know your character so well, and it's a really wonderful feeling. So it was interesting coming in at the end of it. However, I was fortunate enough I've been friends with JoAnna for 20 years and Justin for almost 15 years. This is the third project that I've worked with Norman on. So in some ways it felt like walking into a very familiar situation. So it was amazing. And I always say, everything in television, it starts at the top. And if you have that leadership and that personality and those people who can lead by example and lead with their heart and friendliness and all these things, it really does trickle down. And I saw that from the moment I stepped on set with our show. I mean, Cheryl, she knows how I feel about her. She's one of the most incredible people I've come across in my 20 plus years doing this. I mean, she really is a diamond in the rough, and it's evident with not only the quality of the show, but the people that she was able to, you know, assimilate. To answer your first question about, you know, just I watching it, I really knew nothing about it coming into it. And watching it was really fun because it answered a lot of questions that I had. And one of the first things I said to my wife after we finished it was how amazed I was at how perfectly cast everyone was. And I auditioned for actually a couple roles on the show. And I was like, sometimes as an actor, you want to get everything. You think you should book everything. And after watching the show, I was like, oh gosh, I'm so glad I didn't book that role. I mean, that was perfectly cast for that person. That was perfectly cast for that person. And I felt like my role was absolutely perfect for me. And it was effortless in that I felt like I understood Ronnie, and I felt like I had a really strong grasp on my relationship with Dana Sue and you know, some of the backstory there. So kudos to Cheryl and Norman and everyone for putting this team together, and kudos to the rest of the cast for, you know, obviously doing their job. And as far as the car goes, I don't know. I guess selfishly I hope it's, you know, Anneliese, because then, you know, I get a dig work. I get something to work with, you know. But I don't even know. I'll leave that to the powers that be, and I'll go with it, whatever it is.
Cheryl, I have some words for you for only bringing in Ronnie on episode 10. I'm very upset with you on that. I needed to see him since episode 1.
I second that.
My man, high five.
But here's the thing, guys. You need something in the finale for people to go, oh my gosh, to help us get a season 2. So
yeah,
Brandon is our secret weapon, right?
Oh my gosh. So sweet. So sweet. I'm blushing. It's very nice of you guys. I appreciate
Let's just speak to that a little bit. Brandon.
Yes.
Brandon.
Uh-oh.
Going to, you know, social media has blown up over you. And so one of the tweets, this is from Rebecca Weatherspoon at RDOT Spoon, says, this drama with Ronnie deserves its own season.
And may I put this in context? Rebecca is a romance novelist, so
Oh,
she
wow.
knows whereof she speaks.
Amazing.
I happen to know her, and she's fabulous. And watching her live tweet the show was delightful, and certainly
I'll have
when
to
she
follow
got
her.
to you, even more delightful. So,
Oh my gosh.
That is amazing. I'm very flattered with that. Honestly, it makes me feel good.
Well, you touched on it briefly that when you read the script that you connected with Ronnie. What was it? What caught on fire for you, Brandon, that's it, I get it?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so many different facets to receiving a role, and why some things click and why other things don't. I mean, I think for me, the writing was really good, so that helped. That whenever your writing is whenever something is well written, it makes our job so much easier, and it helps. The picture was painted so clearly just in the script that I received for my audition. I felt like it was just all on paper, and I didn't have to really imagine much. So there was that, and then there's a lot of similarities to Ronnie and I as far as I'm like a blue collar guy. He's a construction worker. I've been with my wife for 20 years. I have 3 kids. There was a lot that I felt connected to. And then meeting Brooke, getting on set, and then going into a familiar set. It's always hard walking onto a set that you don't know. It's almost like the first day jitters, going to school for the first day or whatever. And it really helped me walking onto a set where I knew so many people. And the moment Brooke and I started hanging out and talking, I mean, I felt like we knew each other for a long time. We were cracking up jokes and laughing, and she made it easy. It was just easy. I don't know. It was, yeah.
We saw that.
That is so beautiful. I mean, you guys all work together so well. And, Brandon, I know you, even though you weren't in so many of the episodes, you were able to watch. Chris, it's kind of the same thing. You were able to watch everything. What character outside of yourself did you love most or connect most to or enjoy watching most?
Oh, I think I oddly connect with the CeCe the most. The writers and creative did a really good job of showing that she was a wonderful person, but was having these negative instincts because of situations outside of the one that she was actually in, to where things outside of her school bubble were affecting her school life, sort of thing. I think that I and a lot of people relate to that of someone trying to do their best and then the outside things affecting them to the point that they can't do their best work. It's something that I think that I was able to kind of draw from her and really attach to.
Yeah, if I could piggyback that to his point, her reveal was one of the most interesting for me. I mean, when she first came on screen, I was like, who is this girl? And then all of a sudden you get her backstory and it changes your perspective on her. And all of a sudden you start feeling bad for her and you start understanding why she is the way she is. We're all shaped by our environment. And a lot of the times things aren't as personal as we take it, right? And you all of a sudden see why she's hardened and how she has become the way she's become, and it completely changes the way you look at a person or look at a character. So her reveal was very awesome. But that's a great thing. And this goes to the writing, and so many people have reached out to me that there are so many characters in the show and they're all really flushed out and really developed. I was surprised at how clear and specific everything was just out of the pilot episode. I mean, a lot of times pilot episodes are a mess, and it takes several episodes to, figure out. The writers are figuring out the actors are figuring out the character, and then by episode 4 or 5, you're like, oh, wait a second, I think we have something. And man, by the end of episode 1, you knew exactly who everyone was. You knew exactly where they were coming from, and I was very impressed with that.
Yes, I love that. Well, we have Anneliese and Logan in on the same one. So how was it you guys working together? You guys had so many great scenes and great chemistry as actors together. Let us in on a little bit of that process.
Yeah, I think since we were like the two youngest actors on set, I think, we clicked right away. I first met her in the first table read. I don't know if you remember Anna, but I remember walking in and we pretty much just clicked right from there. You know what I mean? It was definitely something special, and it's very important that you have chemistry with someone that, or someone that you're going to be working with a lot. And I think you guys can really tell, that there is a special chemistry there with, Annie and Kyle, and it's very, very special. And I had a lot of fun working with Anna. I think she's a very, very talented actress that has a lot of big things in front of her. I got to do a lot of really fun scenes with her. And I really just had a blast overall.
Oh, thank you. I feel the same way. Logan and I feel like hit it off immediately, but I feel like that's how it was with all of the teenagers, honestly. From the moment we met, I mean, everyone was so kind and so welcoming. It felt like everyone was really genuine, and we all clicked so easily and became friends, and we still all talk every day, it feels like. And I just love the connection that we've made, and I think that translates really well onto the screen for sure. There's definitely some really great scenes between Logan and I. Annie and Kyle have a very not strange, but complicated relationship. Annie's pining over Ty and Kyle's pining over Annie, and it's a mess because Annie is oblivious to it. In the same ways almost that Ty is oblivious to Annie's feelings until she makes that move. And then later on, Kyle makes that move, and it's like, this is what Ty must have felt like. Definitely, though. I mean, it was great working with Logan, and I think that there's friendships that we made during these months of filming that will last forever for sure.
Anneliese, it was so cute. We talked to Carson earlier about how he helped you get to over 10,000 followers.
Yeah.
So that was so funny. And we talked to him about it, but I'm curious from your end, you had no idea he was doing that. And then you just kind of woke up and were like, wait, what?
Yeah, he definitely has a way, I feel like, of poking fun at me when he does try to make posts. We have a very funny relationship, I feel like. But I woke up and everyone was talking about how we had hit #1, and then somehow we got onto the conversation of followers, and I was only maybe 1,000 followers away from 10,000, and he was like, "Don't worry about it, I've got you." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Okay. And then I see his post, and he's like, "I have a metaphorical gun to my head, given this type of person," however he worded it. But it was a funny post, and definitely very sweet of him to do that. He's great though. That was it was definitely a funny moment this morning.
Logan, he said you're next. He's got you next.
Yeah, Carson, man, he's definitely something else. He's such a cool dude, but he's one of the most fun people to be around. He's so nice. And like Anna just said, he does stuff like that out of the blue just to help you and make you feel better. And I think that's what really, that's how our relationship was really built around also. He's just such a cool guy, and that just made, all the scenes we did so much better. And I really had a blast with really everybody. But I think definitely between us three, we built a really special connection without a doubt.
Absolutely. Love that. We spoke with Harlan. Wait, yes, I have that right. Frank. And he spoke about the vulnerability that he's been able to draw out of himself in his real life because of Sweet Magnolias and the camaraderie amongst the guys. So Brandon, I'll ask you, and if either any of you guys chime in, do you feel like that played a part in it for you? And who did you get along with best while you were on set?
I feel like I get along with everybody. It's hard to make me mad. But Justin and I mean, so we did an episode of Knight Rider together back in 2008, which is where we met. And we've kept in contact ever since. So instantly, I mean, him and I actually hadn't seen him in several years. So we picked up right where we left off, and we hung out quite a bit, but we didn't have any scenes together, so we would only hang out in passing. Chris, I met Chris for the first, well, actually, Chris and I met years ago. I actually went to the American Pie premiere, and we briefly met, but he wouldn't remember that. So we met, and him and I hit it off, and I was surprised at I don't know why I was surprised, but he's a really great guy. I felt like we really hit it off, and we exchanged numbers, and I mainly hang out with Joe and Brooke, the whole time on set. As far as things drawing from things, yeah, I mean, that's what being an actor is all about, right? You have these personal experiences, and you take life in, and you use it in your work, and the more you do, and the more you put yourself out there as a person, and the more you stumble and make mistakes and all these things, you remember it, and you put it in your work. And my stint in season 1 was brief, but absolutely, I feel like everything I do, I draw from life. I take in my partner. I mean, it's such a mix of different things. For me, though, personally, it's like you take things in, and you have to forget about it, and it's all about the person in front of you. And you take that person in, and you let them affect you, and all that life that you've lived in the past, it just comes out naturally. And that's what I love about acting. I love taking these, written scenarios and bringing them to life. And when it hits, and when you're feeling it, to me, there is no greater feeling. I love it.
One of my favorite scenes in this final episode is Ronnie's arrival, when everybody's around the produce truck.
Yeah.
And the delight of watching Chris and Anneliese interact while Brooke and Chase are interacting, and then Brandon walks in, and you just feel and see the currents between everybody there at the truck, new relationships, less new, and old relationships, all in play really before any of them start talking to each other. Just that moment where Anneliese reacts to Brandon, and then Chris turns around, and I thought this is the magic of Serenity, that these people are acting the way you would expect them to, for knowing each other all these different amounts of time, and so much of it is beautifully nonverbal, and then those undercurrents continue to play underneath the dialogue. That's one of my favorite scenes.
Oh, I love that. I love hearing that. And it's funny, I saw that. And sometimes as an actor, as a writer, a creator, you can plan all you want, and sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. And I think that maybe that's why some shows are a success and some aren't. But I felt that even when I watched, and I felt that in other scenes, like everybody just belongs, and it all came together seamless. And it was funny watching it. I found myself very protective of Anneliese and of Brooke as I was watching. Like I texted Cheryl when she was fighting with the chef. What was it, Brad? Man, my blood was boiling. I want to fight that guy so badly. So I asked if I could have maybe a little fight scene in season 2. And the same goes for Anneliese when she was having her little episode with the alcohol, and just the way Dana Sue was getting on her. I wanted to just hug her and hold her, and I love that. Like I love that I'm emotionally invested and already feeling protective over these characters that I haven't had that much time with. So it was fun. It's gonna be fun.
I want to ask, I guess while we're on this topic already, Logan, Chris, Anna, what's your favorite scene? What was your favorite thing to film, to watch? What do you love most?
Somebody else.
Ooh, I have to think about.
I got to think for a second.
I know it's a lot.
Same.
There's so many good, amazing moments.
I have quite a few, but the first one. Sorry, Logan, you can go ahead.
No, you're okay. I think my favorite to do was the prom night. That was like the best thing ever. We had everybody there in one area. I filmed so much stuff that night. We just had an absolute blast. And then you had Sam, who plays Jackson. He was doing his little improv, with his little cookies. That was just amazing. That was so funny. And that night overall was incredible because right after that, after we filmed all the prom night stuff, I went directly to the final scene with the car crash. And I remember it was so funny because we did so much stuff that day. And that actually helped me because when you're filming stuff, you usually don't do it all in order. So I was already like, it felt like I just came back from the scene that we just, we're running out of the house. So I already felt emotionally there. So it was really, really easy for me to go ahead, and it was so cool to see it all come together with all the police lights in the car. And it was just insane. They put all the stuff on me. And it was just such a crazy, crazy moment. And it's funny because my mom can barely watch that scene because she says she hates seeing me in that condition. She just can't watch it. But it was just such a fun night. That whole entire time was so great. And we really just had a blast that entire day.
I love that. It makes me wonder when you talk about that scene, I can't take my mind off it. When season 2 comes, because we know it's coming, the world is demanding it. It's like, are there going to be pickups? And we open there. Is somebody actually in the car with you? How on earth is this going to work?
Cheryl, that's all you.
Yeah, Cheryl. How's it gonna work, Cheryl?
I think I need to go make dinner.
And Cheryl, we need to know if Dana Sue is Isaac's mom. I mean,
yeah.
Does Anneliese have
like what the haystack?
That was crazy.
So that
I don't know. Chris, what did she tell you?
I actually don't know.
See,
So
this
good.
was all by design. There are secrets in the show, and I decided that the actors should not know information their characters don't know.
Good.
Because I wanted them to be able to play where they were honestly and not give anything away. So, the marvelous arc that Isaac goes through from this mysterious dude to this fun guy to that heartbreaking scene in the kitchen. We're just going to have to see more of that. So we're going to just have to have a season 2 and then maybe we'll actually find out.
Siblings. Chris, what do you want to see from your character?
What do I want to see?
Yes, in season 2.
I don't know. I mean, I want answers just as badly as you all do. First and foremost, answers. No, I don't know. I mean, my experience on the show was pretty limited to who was in the restaurant scenes, just because that's where Isaac exists in season 1. And so a lot of our time was spent me and Dion and Heather and Brooke speaking a lot about theater and Broadway because we have all gone through those rounds as well. And so I think something that was on my brain, Cheryl, was if Isaac and Helen get to sing together at some point, would be somewhere on my little notepad of season 2 things.
fun.
Is it a fundraiser? Is it karaoke? I don't know, but
We tried to get Heather to sing.
It's a little sample.
Please,
little
please. We tried to get Carson to sing too. You guys are also talented.
Yes.
We do have the makings of a musical episode. So, we have so many great singers in this cast, but just Chris, I just made a note. Okay.
Duly
noted.
Girl, if you need an extra,
I will let you know, Kelsey. I will let you know.
I mean, if Heather Headley is singing in the show, if Heather Headley's singing in the show, I'll be an extra at that. Let me just be in the presence of Heather Headley singing.
We'll see what we can do.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Gosh, that is spectacular. Cheryl, I really hope this is delighting your heart right now because I can see you. And for example, I create a lot of events. And so you go in with an intention and an idea, but here we are at the end. I feel sad myself. It's like, this is finished for now, How does it feel to just literally see your years of professionalism, your skill, your intuition, your intention all play off in such a magical way that these people are going home, like you've changed their lives. They're going home with changed completely. And this is what you created in a year. How does that make you feel?
Okay. I'm trying not to cry, but I'm the writer, not the actor. To be perfectly honest, I'm a very proud mom. This gorgeous family that I have been blessed to look after for all these months, I'm so proud to send them out into the world. And I love the fact that everybody loves them. I could not be prouder. I could not be happier. I could not feel more blessed. And, I deeply appreciate the notion that I have changed their lives, but they have changed mine. They have enriched me beyond description, and I'm crazy about all of them, just in case that hadn't shown yet. So I'm obviously very emotional, but I'm a proud mom.
And a virtual hug.
You see what we get to work
Hugs all
with?
around.
This is why we're all so happy, and this is why it's all so good. I mean, you're amazing, Cheryl.
Oh, you guys are the
Truly
best.
incredible.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is so good. We're just so grateful for this whole opportunity and experience. And, even us as panelists, like, you guys, we've been in this together too, and we're so emotionally invested. So I wanted to ask each one of you is, so I'll start with you, Tammy, then Kelsey, then Bryant. Is there one thing that you could ask Cheryl, if anything, that she could write into season 2? We said the singing, but is there something else that you're just craving to see as an audience member and a panelist?
I can't wait for Dion / Erik's story to come out more. All the men of Serenity, really, they're like amazing. But I think his story in particular has been so beautifully written, and it's unfolded so beautifully that I'm really excited to see where that goes.
I would say the opposite, maybe. I want to see more of Ryan, maybe get some redemption, because I feel like I'm the only person on earth that's still a little bit Team Ryan. So,
Okay.
So I want more of that. And obviously, I've been screaming Ty and Annie since episode 1, probably the pre-show, even before I even knew what was happening. So I just want that to be 100%. And yes, Ty and Annie forever.
And I want this only actually I've thought of after doing all these panels today. I want more Mary Vaughn backstory. I feel like I really dislike her and I don't want to. I feel like every single character, even the quote unquote villains or mean characters, do have these stories and have a reason that they're acting these ways. So I want to hear more about Mary Vaughn.
Okay.
Wow. I think
Jamie?
I was like, I'll toss something in there. Even though Maddie's mom played such a small part, it was a large part. And for example, what really touched me with Helen is that she did show up like this all the time, but those moments where Helen wasn't happy, I'm literally in my bed crying, like, what is going on? So I would love to see maybe some more of what Maddie has to offer. And Maddie's mom, Paula. And because she's such a bright light, I know it's sad to say, but I want her to break my heart. I want to see, more another side of her because she's so great. I know she's more than one note. So I'd be really interested to see how, if there's anything that Paula's had to overcome to even get to the point where she can show up and shine as much as she does.
Okay.
And getting to learn more about Dana, Sue, and Ronnie too. I'm very intrigued by that backstory.
Okay.
You and me both.
Ronnie, you must have did something to burn everything. When a woman burns your things, you must have really did something.
Yeah, trust me.
Real.
Should have probably
If I
played
can
that
jump-
scene dodging a little bit from it.
Chemistry between you two. Ooh.
Oh,
my gosh.
I love that.
And am I remembering correctly, Brandon, that the Pie a la mode scene is the first scene you and Brooke shot together?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The first time I met her, we had talked
Holy
briefly offset for maybe 10 minutes. And then we worked, and it was like I said, it's a lot. You come in knowing you're coming in the last episode where all this chemistry has been built. There's a way things are done. I'm trying to vibe her out, she's trying to vibe me out, and it was a pleasure. It was an absolute pleasure. Having Norman there helped me. Just like I said, a familiar, and obviously Cheryl. I felt like with Cheryl there, I felt like we've been friends for years. So it's all things that help actors just feel calm and grounded. Really helps us to present our best work. But yeah, that was our first scene, and it like I said, after our first take, we all have these parameters. We know when we've hit it and when we haven't, and I afterwards I remember feeling like, oh, I feel like we might have had a connection there or something. There was something there. I don't know. I went over to Norman. I'm like, Norman, what do you? He's like, yeah, that was some chemistry there, man. So it was, it's exciting. And when you have that, you want more and you want to play with that more. So I'm, God willing, we get a second season. I'm extremely excited to continue that relationship and building that.
Yes, I love
I
that.
did have one more request.
Oh yeah.
I did have one more quick request. Caroline was on panel previously, and she said she feels so thankful and blessed to be a woman in her 60s and to have the voice that she does have as Paula on the show. So I personally would love more conversations between Paula and Miss Francis.
Ooh.
Showing that voice from women who don't have a very strong voice in Hollywood. So love that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Oh, we could talk to you guys for
So much juicy stuff to work with Cheryl.
Well, I've been keeping a notebook since we wrapped, so I'll just mix this on in and hope we have a chance to show it.
I love it.
There's so many relationships. Sorry.
No,
There's so
please go, because I was gonna ask, but yeah, Anneliese, share.
There's definitely so many relationships that I would like to see more of for sure. Simon and Annie. I know that everyone likes Ty and Annie, but I really like how pure Simon and Annie are. When he was asking her to prom, I thought that was so sweet. Maybe that was just an underrated scene that people missed. But
Nobody missed it.
Great.
Like I really want to see more of that. And even, depending on what happens, maybe something between Simon and Ty where they kind of confront each other, because Simon obviously doesn't like the way that Annie's been treated. There's so much going on with Ty and Annie. I really would like to see more of that, I think. But also going along that line, I'd like to see maybe a friendship between CeCe and Annie. I think that there's so much of jealousy. There's so much jealousy going on. And there's a lot of bitterness between the two. And I feel like it's over a boy. And I hate that. In real life, I don't ever want to fight anybody over a boy. Never. Personally, never. Yeah, I would love for us to maybe bond, maybe over Ty, maybe over something else. But to see a friendship definitely blossom between the two of them. Because we saw, CeCe, she is the way she is because of the way that she was raised and the environment that she's in. And I feel like Annie can sort of relate to some of those things in a way. Maybe not the exact situation, but those feelings. And I would like to see them bond over that.
I love that.
Oh, I love that. That's such a great point and input.
Thank you.
Well,
I have
you
one,
guys,
if I may.
oh yeah, please.
And selfishly, it is about Ronnie's character, but about Ronnie, I mean, so I think it's an interesting, I was worried how I would be perceived, being that, I think is it known that am I a cheater? That's what it is, right? Or do we not even know? Is it? Okay, we don't even know. We don't know. But like I felt like watching it, there were moments where you can tell that, that Annie revered me, or revered Ronnie rather, and I think that's an interesting dynamic. And you can see moments in Dana Sue's eyes when I'm around her, how she loves that relationship. And I think that's big. And I think it speaks to Ronnie's character, the fact that he has such a great relationship with his daughter. And I have such a great relationship. I have 2 daughters, and I have such a great relationship with them. So that's something that I want to explore, because I feel like it will help paint a clear picture of who Ronnie is, which, I mean, I have my ideas of who he is. Cheryl could be like, nope, that's not him, buddy. That's definitely a relationship that I would like to develop. Yeah, exactly. That I would like to develop and see come to light more.
Well, it definitely seems really intentional. And really quickly, I was going to ask you, Anneliese, you got a chance to work with Brooke, Dana Sue for, the whole time. And now you have this new element coming in. So as a watcher, how did you enjoy the way Ronnie showed up? And what did that mean for not only your character, but even as a watcher? What did you enjoy about that?
I definitely thought that was very interesting, because it almost is in the moment before Annie and Isaac have a moment of, oh, what is this? Like, my mom is obviously flirting with this man. That's new, but she didn't seem upset about it. She was like, okay, my mom is being happy right now. She's expressing herself way more than I've seen lately. That's great. And then my dad shows up, and I feel like that all just disappears. I'm like, Dad, like, I don't care who you are, Dad. Because they're only separated, they're not divorced. And so I definitely think that there's some hope there with both Ronnie and Annie, that he's going to come back, and that my mom isn't going to move on with anybody, because I obviously have a very strong relationship with my dad, and that's very clear when he comes in the 10th episode. We see that, I feel like, immediately. I'm asking him to come back to the house, stay for the weekend, and my mom is like, no. And even I even think it's in episode 2, I defend him. I just blow up at my mom, because I'm like, he made one mistake and you ran him out of town. Like, that's my dad. So obviously
thank you, dear.
There's some tension between You're welcome. There's definitely some tension there that I would like us to explore. But watching it, I hope that viewers caught on a little bit to that. Annie wants her mom to be happy above everything, but she also wants her dad to be the reason.
Oh, that was a perfect answer.
Maybe both of your dad, or both your mom, you over there. I don't know if I'm pointing in the right direction.
My brother?
Who knows?
Oh my God. It's getting crazy. Oh my God, this is so fun. Well, I'll just take it to the panel, before we go and ask our final question to the cast. Was there anything that you guys wanted to ask or add while we have, this kind of final moment with everyone? Did we get all our questions out?
Pretty much. Dana Sue, I would say, when she sent him off to the motel, girl, wrong decision.
Right decision. I sure was hoping he wasn't staying the night. I was like, Dana,
my dad, stop.
It's time. Go to the motel. Eat your ice cream and go to the motel.
That's awesome. That's great.
Well, we certainly enjoyed this so much, and I know the fans at home did, especially because everyone that I have seen, it's like a wave and an overwhelm of where's season 2, where's season 2, where's season 2. So I'm hoping that this AfterBuzz show and this reunion and all the after shows give people enough to stay connected with you guys and still get a sense of serenity while we're waiting to see what happens. So before we get out of here, I would love to start one by one and get, just everybody shout out your social media and then just say something from the heart to the fans, whatever you're feeling. So we'll start with you, Anneliese.
Well, so my social media handles, all of them are at Anneliese C. Judge. You guys will see my name in the title. It's very long, but it's at Anneliese C. Judge. I just wanted to thank all of you so much for watching. It means more than you know. I feel like I've cried so many times this week just out of pure happiness and thankfulness for each and every one of you. I feel like I'm gonna cry right now talking about it, but seriously, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
All right, let's go to you, Chris.
I am at Mr. Medlin on everything. That's at MRMEDLIN. And honestly, thank you for taking a chance and a risk on me. And thank you for allowing me to take the chances and risks that you allowed me to.
Yes, I love that. You want to shout out anything to the fans who love the character Isaac so much?
Oh, I'm wanting the same answers that you do. So we're gonna sit here and together and wait patiently for season 2.
I love that. Logan, let's hear from you.
I'm at It's Logan Allen on Instagram and Twitter, so you guys can follow me there. I just want to thank all the fans. I mean, the support has been it's been unbelievable. I mean, I still can't believe we're number 1. I don't think it's hit me yet. Like everybody was saying, it's so surreal. It doesn't really feel real at all. Support has been incredible. All the fans have been awesome. I mean, it's just been so positive, and that I'm so thankful and blessed to be in this position. So thank you all.
Absolutely. It's so beautiful. How about you, Brandon?
Yes, at the Brandon Quinn on Twitter and Instagram. I echo everything everyone has said. Just a huge heartfelt thank you for watching the show, for supporting all of us. It's not easy getting a job as an actor, and it's especially difficult getting a job that you really love and care about. A lot of that is dependent on you guys, the fans. So we appreciate your support and your love and your questions and your anger and your shout, all this stuff. It makes it fun for us. I love interacting with fans and I love hearing what people have to say. So thank you, guys. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And Cheryl, I know we done already made you cry, so we're not going to do it again. But
that's okay. I started crying when they started, so I'm just gonna, keep going. I'm Cheryl with an S, J Anderson on Twitter and Instagram, and I want to say when we first started writing, our goal was that everyone be able to see themselves in Serenity. And I just want to thank everybody who's watched, who found themselves in Serenity. And I hope we get a chance to welcome you back again soon.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That's beautiful.
Amen.
Because this is the finale, I got to throw it to my host and let them. I'm not going to end you. You do it. So Tammy, then Kelsey, then Bryant. You please shout out your social media and you say something to our fans.
Oh yeah. So you can find me on Twitter at Tammy Govea and Insta Tammy.Govea. Fans, your thoughts, your heartfelt thoughts, we're not even a part of the cast, and we've only been a part of this journey for a very small, short of time, but it's really meant the world to us. The show has meant the world to all of us at AfterBuzz, and we're so thankful, so humbled to be a part of it and to be able to support and promote something that we feel is just so beautiful. So thank you, fans. Continue to support and promote this very special moment in time for everybody. And thank you.
And then I am Kels, so Kels Meyer, Meyer, and the number 2, because number 1 was taken, but on Instagram and Twitter. I just want to say I'm really honored that I was given the chance to be a part of this panel. I know that a lot of people wanted to do it, so I feel, really honored and really grateful. And Thank you, Cheryl. The show is amazing. And I really honestly didn't think that I would fall in love with it as much as I did. And it's really been beautiful. And I love being able to, I mean, I don't have family here, and I make my mom, think I told her, make my mom watch every show that I'm a part of. And this one has been especially fun to chat with her about. And it's really special. So thank you.
Thank you. I just, before you bring us home, Bryant, I just want to say the four of you are citizens of Serenity forever.
Oh.
That's what we want.
Yes.
Honored to be one. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at @BryantSantos. This show has been amazing. Of course, I'm going to say it over and over. My mom watch it. She's Team Dana Sue, I'm Team Annie. She's Team Erik, I'm Team Ryan. So we all have our different opinions, but we all love it so much, and it's so amazing. I'm so happy to be a part of it. Cheryl, we love you. The cast, we love you. The fans, we love you. It's just amazing.
Yes,
thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you, Bryant,
you.
Amy, Tammy, Kelsey. Yeah, thank you guys for all you're doing to help promote the show and getting us all together and talking. We really, really appreciate it.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so
Yes,
much.
absolutely. We appreciate you guys. And last but not least, I can be found on Instagram at Jamie Alexander, which is JAIMI Alexander. And I haven't mentioned, but I'm on Twitter as Queen Jamie. I didn't want to confuse anyone, but now you can have that. Active. And I just want to say, to second everything that you guys said, Cheryl, thank you for creating something like this. Cast and crew, thank you so much for letting us in and taking the time to talk with us. And just to AfterBuzz TV for, this moderating role really stretched me. And I just feel so honored that they trusted me enough to do it. So there were a lot of people that wanted this. And this whole thing was a complete honor. And I thank you fans for watching and all the tweeting and responses and getting into it. Cause we're all doing what we really love, and to have so much support and to be honorary members of Serenity is just, I don't know what to do in my life after this. I'm stalling. But yes, thank you guys all so much. And shout out to the AfterBuzz team. I know the producers are on and stuff. Everybody worked really tirelessly to make this happen. And we're here with you. We support you. And thank you. So we'll see you on social media. And thank you guys all for tuning into the reunion. This has been amazing. And until season 2, we're speaking it into existence.
Love it.
Let's do it.
Bye.
Thank you guys.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.